Welcome, my friends and enemies. Glad you are here. I am joined by Crimson Law.
Hello, how are you?
Greetings, good sir. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with me.
Oh, we are friends now. I do not sell out. I,
oui,
I, I
oui.
bathe, I bathe in filthy water and smell like dirty cheese.
That is
Yes.
because you are a baguette.
Hmm. I wave my private parts in your general direction.
I don't think that's how it goes, but yes. It's I fart in your general direction. Your
Yeah,
mother was a hamster. Your father smelt
it's.
of elderberries. I fart in your general direction.
I wave my private part at you.
I actually heard your father was a hamster and your mother smelt of elderberries. I'm like, that has an entirely different connotation than the other way around. You did it wrong, but I've heard that before. So
Your father smells of elderberries,
no,
and
no, no.
your
You're
mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberries. I
that's the
believe.
proper way. But they said
Mhm.
your father was a hamster and your mother smelt of elderberries. Basically saying your father was a whore and your mother was a drunk. Instead of the opposite way.
Oh.
And actually, believe it or not, like for a decade, I didn't understand the meeting. I legit did not know. And then John Cleese was doing like this thing where he like explained it. And I was like, how have I not known this for this long?
I'm also pretty sure
It makes sense now.
I wave my private parts at you is like a friend like a direct English translation of the French way of telling people to go f themselves.
Like piss off. Yeah. I mean, I can believe it. It just wasn't from that film. but just like, but why are you in England? Mind your own business. That film was great. Although I have to say, The Life of Brian's probably my favorite because it's just so funny and iconic and sacrilegious. But yeah, that's not what we're here for. As much as I would love to talk about Monty Python stuff, that's not why we're here. Um, excuse me. But we are here because people keep ruining things. And what might they be ruining, Crimson?
Everything.
I mean,
Do you
yes.
like something? Too bad someone's gonna ruin it. In this case, for me, it's generally anime and manga and
I was
stuff.
gonna say,
And
can we narrow down the topic a little bit, just
don't
to be
worry, I
more
was getting there.
like,
I'm just making sure that the audience knows that there is someone out there who really wants to make you suffer, and it will happen.
and they want you to suffer because you're a bigot for liking something that they don't like.
So I guess that kind of brings us to what are we talking about? Localizers. Everyone's
The
favorite fucking
best of
subject.
the worst.
Everyone's favorite subject to go rag on and on about. With most people involved in the conversation not actually knowing what they're talking about.
I mean, if we don't rag about it, who's gonna rag about it?
I don't know, some other rag. Let them do
I
the ragging.
I don't know any other rags that do the ragging. That's the problem. Let alone the bigger talking heads. Like I don't see I don't know how many. I mean, obviously Chibi reviews or those kind of guys probably talk about because it's their niche corner, but they're also small potatoes compared to someone like Asmongold. And Asmongold does like one video on localizers every like 3 years. It's not like a topic where he's
Well,
like, we need to like go after these people and have them like stop ruining things.
the thing is
And I
he
say go
did
after.
one.
I'm saying go after, not as in like attack them or hunt them down or dox them. I'm saying like do what we can do to get Japan to stop sending these people work. That kind of a thing.
Well, it's an interesting situation because it really depends on which element of the work we're talking about. If it's directly like manga and light novel translations, those are often like recruited directly by um like the publishing companies in Japan, and they hire that out to people to do the English translations for them. Okay, checks out. When it comes to anime and manga, it gets a little bit more complicated because it's also the streaming services that have a say in it because they have their own localization teams. Especially when you start talking about Crunchyroll, they have their own dub teams, and that's how you ended up with what is arguably one of the biggest localization controversies that is out there, and that is the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid dub.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Um, but like it's interesting that you mentioned Asmongold doing one occasionally because the last time he actually did one on the whole localization thing, the lady who like did that whole Dragon Maid dub ended up going on and like doubling down and refusing to say, yeah, I changed it like just like taking accountability for it.
I'm trying to
Instead,
remember
she
her
just
name because I'm pretty sure I know who it is.
it's the voice actress.
No, no, no. I'm saying I'm trying to remember her name, like the voice actress's name, because I'm pretty sure she's had repetitive instances. I'm pretty sure she was involved with the Vince Mignogna stuff.
She
Is
probably
it
was
Jamie
involved.
Marchi? Is that who it is?
I don't I don't know. It probably was someone who was pro kick Vic. Um,
But
so
I remember seeing a like con event or something where they had a whole bunch of people at the table, and she basically just goes like, "Yeah, f your stuff, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna do what I want because I'm a strong, independent woman, blah blah blah, blah and all that."
yeah, that was
Yeah,
shortly after the Asmongold thing
yeah.
because people started to push her on it, and she got really fed up that people weren't just going to let it slide. That she changed an entire line of dialogue to insert her own politics, and that's really what gives localizers their bad name. It's not like every single one of them is out there doing terrible things. It's just that the industry is plagued. I don't want to say infested, but plagued by people who are very vocal,
Six of
who
one,
do
half a
this
dozen of
kind of
the
stuff,
other.
who are just out there to do whatever they want to someone else's creation, and I find that annoying at the very least, and objectionable for ego reasons on behalf of the localizer
Well,
in other cases.
it's the localizer thinking they're the creator of the said thing, and they'll take whatever they deem to be the quote unquote necessary changes to make it what they think is appropriate. But despite the fact that it's not a Western creation, and thus it should retain its origins context, because the people who watch anime understand that it's a Japanese context. The people who don't understand that either don't watch anime or have watched so little anime that they're just offended by things in general. Because
Well,
the main
I, I
target.
will I will I
Go
will
ahead.
correct you a little bit on this. There is a large faction of normies who are just getting into anime, or who
That's
don't
one of the
watch
groups.
it
Yeah,
much and like pick up like slight things. So they do watch anime. They're just not as intimately familiar with it as people who have been watching for a while, or people who got into it. Like I got into it like before COVID 2018. That's when I really started watching this stuff. And at that point I just kind of went down the rabbit hole, started watching a bunch of anime, and here I am. I understand a lot of the cultural context around it, the things that are important. Like you pick up on like folklore and everything that inspires a lot of these
you're making me
stories and
feel
all that.
really old because I've been watching anime since 2005. Like
Well, I
I
mean,
started in 2018. I'm like, your whole channel's about anime. I'm
I
old.
mean, you, you are a fossil, so
Thanks. Devilishly
um,
handsome fossil. But no, when I see that, my first thought, and maybe this is because I would be considered what you'd call an intellectual compared to a normie, like it's when I would see something that I don't understand, the first thing I would do is go online and go to a forum that's related to the topic and say, I didn't understand this. Could you explain this to me? Like that's just a natural explanation that I would tend to lean towards, even if I'm a normie towards it. Because like there's anime, like even though I've watched anime since like
well,
2005.
here's the thing is, um, most people don't actually care that much. And this is the
Yeah.
realization that I've had recently with like conversations over like what is or isn't the better anime for your inner solo leveling. There are people out there who are solely in it for the entertainment. And I've had people tell me like very directly that story gets in the way of action.
Yeah, that's a wild
Um,
take. I mean, even John Wick has a story that it's consistent with.
yeah, but like some people don't actually care about a lot of that. They just want the thing that makes that like gives them the dopamine shot to their fucking brain.
Yeah, and I've had this problem because in the Wheel of Time, yes, I'm going down that rabbit hole for at least a short second. So the Wheel of Time is a 15 book series epic. It's not a short series. It's a very detailed series, but people want action, 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 action when it comes to like a TV adaptation or something like that. And I was like, but if you always have action, you're going to burn out because you have no setups. You have no explanation as to why an army is in the place it's in. You have no idea why a nation's at war with another nation. Nothing will make sense. And you'll just have literally it'd be like if you just randomly had like actually perfect example. Did you ever watch that animation of how it should have ended? But it's like they took all the characters from like Disney and they have the Terminator, Indiana Jones, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and like and there's like this Coliseum and they're all like duking it out. You remember that animation?
I think I saw it once.
Vaguely, and it's just like basically everyone's just killing everybody in this whole thing, and
Hmm.
none of it makes sense because it's essentially if you take a whole bunch of people, portal them into a random area, and just have them fight to the death for no reason. It's like, oh man, that was great. I'm like, what was great about it? It doesn't. There's no reason for any of it to exist. The only thing that was like really really funny about that is when Harrison Ford was killing Harrison Ford characters because it's like Indiana Jones is like this belongs in a museum, and then it gets
Well,
zapped
yeah.
by somebody else that's also a Han Solo character, and it just keeps
The,
going through all the characters.
the point I'm trying to make in all of that, like bringing all this stuff up, is localizers get away with a lot of this stuff because there's just a large portion of people who are very casual about anime,
I
which is
call them I don't
okay.
careists, is what I call them.
It's okay to just come in and enjoy the thing.
Well, it's
But
okay. It's okay to
there
come in
are there
and
are
just
people
enjoy
who,
the thing as the thing.
yes, that's what I mean.
It's when you come in to enjoy the thing and want to morph the thing
I'm not
to
talking
change it.
about those people because they're a
Yeah, yeah,
completely different group of people.
they're
What I'm saying is
scumbags.
the people like who just come in, they'll watch like an anime, like okay, I like that, and then a couple months later maybe pick up something like that's also kind of normie, like Attack on Titan or something like that.
That's such a dumb show.
Um,
I watched the first episode in 5 minutes and I'm like, I'm not watching this show. It's so stupid. I know people like it,
anyway,
but it's stupid. But anyway, continue.
people like they get away localizers get away with doing what they do because there are people who just don't really have the time or interest to pay attention to it. Meanwhile, people like me who get lost in it and make it like a part of their identity to watch as much anime as fucking possible end up spotting these things and being like, that doesn't seem like it belongs there, or having a problem with altering entire character um uh sections of character dialogue because it kind of alters who the character is.
It changes the behaviors of a character that would never
Mhm.
behave that way.
Again, not to harp on it too much, but it is the most famous example, the Dragon Maid dub. It's like you take something that is an innocent joke of like, oh yeah, people in this world just stare at me so much when I walk around like I normally
Well,
do.
you're walking around in a maid dress, people are going to stare at you because it's not normal behavior.
No, no, this
Or
is
are
a
you thinking of a different
different
one?
chick who was almost
Oh,
walking around like half naked almost the whole time.
well, that's also not normal. So,
Yeah, that's what I
especially in
mean.
like
Is
Japanese
well,
culture. So,
the point is she's from a different world. She's just chilling out in our world, and she's doing things that she would have done in her world that would have been completely normal or okay for her to do, and realizing
what was I watching?
this isn't so usual for these people. Maybe I should cover up. That was the whole point of that joke. Effectively, like, is she's just like, oh yeah, I put on more clothes because people were giving me weird looks while I was riding around the city exploring, and they turned it into a whole like jab
The
at
patriarchy.
men, at the
Yeah,
patriarchy. Yeah,
yeah, I
and
remember that. Like,
it isn't. There are certain times where like I can understand why they would do something. But in this case, there is no justification for doing that other than the voice actress's own politics and something that she wanted to put in.
so I watched one of those like anime recap things, but it's like for mangas or whatever, the manga recaps. And there's this manga, and it's about this kid who has like this ability to build villages, and it's an interesting story, and I hope there's more to it. But essentially, he gets kicked out of his family and exiled because he doesn't have the holy swordmanship skill, and his skill is build villages. Nobody knows what that means though, and so they exile him, not realizing it's super overpowered because he could literally just go, "I have some points, boop, building," like literally just out of nowhere. And he builds this village, and slowly people who are like fleeing as like refugees from there because they can't handle taxes or there's war, famine, whatever the case might be, banditry. He eventually builds this massive village. Well, he eventually helps these elves, right? And keep in mind this is a fantasy world, but they help these elves, and elves are super like coveted by humans in terms of like their beauty, but also kind of like they treat them as slaves, mostly in the sexual nature. And so they don't have much of a relationship with humans. But the group of humans from this place, this town that's in the middle of the wasteland, goes and help like saves these elves. So the elves come to like thank them and everything. They find out that this little like 10-year-old boy is the lord of this town. He's like the governor, or as I call him, the governator. But uh, basically, he's like, why don't you guys relax in this cool like outdoor spa uh, sauna type thing, like their outdoor relaxation and everything. Your was it spring? What? Help me out. I'm totally forgetting the actual term. It's like a spring,
Hot spring,
hot spring. Thank you. I was like, I'm hitting everything but the actual target. Um, I think it's
onsen, hot
onsen.
spring,
Yeah.
however you want
So
to go about it.
this hot spring that he has, and he's like, come on, come relax, enjoy your stay. Blah 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 blah. They're trying to be like friendly and whatnot. And then the leader's a female, and she just like starts just taking her clothes off in the middle of the conversation, and everyone's like, ah! And so like the kid's maid's like covering his eyes and everything, trying to like the women are like cover up, and she just doesn't get it. Like it's in her head, she thinks it's completely normal because elves behave this way. But they're sitting in a human culture, and that's not how humans behave. Don't get me wrong, the guys there are like the of age guys are like all for this, but at the same time, it's like this female elf is like stripping at the entrance to this place, not like inside the building. She's like at the entrance, just having the conversation and is stripping naked. And they're like, no, 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 keep it on, keep it on, keep it on, go inside. Well, then all the guys go to the guys one, and of course the female elf goes into the guys because she doesn't know there's two guys and girls. Because again, that's not how they do things. They don't have things like hot springs in elvish territory. So like all this stuff is happening, and it's like how people recognize a culture and how they behave, similar to how you're saying that this half-dressed lady's in the modern world and she's behaving how she would in her own time. If she changes it to where you have this lady, or is I guess this lady from Kobayashi's Dragon Maid or whatever it's called, um, compared to this elf girl just stripping randomly to go in a hot spring, having either of them in either of the situations talking about the patriarchy makes zero sense. For one, they don't have it in the fantasy world. Obviously, if there's a leader of the elves that's women or a woman, then or a female, I guess, because woman technically implies human. But you have a female elf being the leader of this little band of elves that are in the area. That doesn't smell or reek of patriarchy, so that wouldn't make sense in that. But in the world itself, they don't have the concept of a patriarchy. They have a concept of nobles taking advantage of peasants, but they don't have a concept of patriarchy. And the same way in Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, is that what it is? Kobayashi's Dragon Maid?
Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Yeah,
That
that
is
one.
correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just know Kobayashi's the only part I know for sure, and I know maids in there somewhere and dragons somewhere. But if you have somebody from another world that presumably doesn't have a patriarchy issue coming to the modern world and not picking up on local customs means she's not picking up on local patriarchy customs, and therefore she would never say this because she wouldn't understand it to begin with. And that's the concept of like what a localizer does to a series is it makes it incoherent. And like you were mentioning earlier, where like these anime normies just want action, action, action. That doesn't even apply here because there's no action, action, action. It's literally like dramatization, and then she just comes in and says something completely out of pocket, and we have no idea why she's saying this because in the American culture it doesn't make sense for the character to say that because she wouldn't know the American culture or the Western culture, and then in the Japanese culture, it wouldn't make sense because she's not Japanese. She's from another world, and she's presumably not a human in the sense of humans. So she wouldn't have these concepts and these structures. Because if you pay attention to a lot of animes, anytime somebody like would mention a male-led structure, they either accept it or they have no idea what the concept is. Because the whole we're being oppressed thing doesn't compute to a foreign world where they just assume authoritarian regime of a king, a queen, or a council or nobles that are always oppressing the lower class. That's just normal for them, so they don't understand it. It'd be like if you go into a series like maybe like Rise of the Shield Hero, right? And all of a sudden he starts pulling a 1776 and is like ranting and raving about the authoritarian regime of the king and the queen and how they're terrible people and their nobles are just taking advantage of it and is trying to like start a revolution. The people in it be like, what are you on about? They don't understand it because that's just normal for them. So it would be completely like that would be terrible despite it being like America, frick yeah. Be like for the Western audience and be like take that and be like that'd be really funny and really cool, but it wouldn't make sense in the story. That's what you do in parodies. Like if this was Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid was a parody, like what's the 4-star anime what's the
Team
guys
4 star.
Team 4-star. If Team 4-star made a parody of it, I'd say it's completely fine because it'd be funny because in context none of it makes sense already because it's a parody. So like that would be completely fine. But these are not parody localizers. They are the actual story localizers, and then it doesn't make any sense. So you have a tweet, good sir, that we will finally get to. And here
Oh
it is.
boy.
I know, right?
Oh yes.
How to
Okay.
be a
This
localizer. Step 1, antagonize the fan base. Step 2, go on about the power you wield. Step 3, blame everyone but yourself. Step 4, pretend you're the victim.
step 3 and 4 are kind of like hand in hand, so interpret that how you will.
Yes and no, but they have different meanings. Blame everyone but
They
yourself.
do,
Like
but
one
they kind of
saying
happen at
stop
the same
attacking me,
time.
the other one is saying no, it's your fault. So they do have some
They
separation.
generally kind of happen at the same time
Well, they
though.
go
So
together like a ham sandwich, but it's like they actually are different things. They're just like stages of grief where they just happen simultaneously. So yes, but I'm pretty sure it's Jamie March is the name of the lady because I can't stand her. She's a psychopath. And not the good kind of psychopath, like a bad psychopath.
is there a good psychopath?
Yes, I know a couple that are actual, like they're legit psychopath, not like they're termed psychopath, like they are like certified psychopaths, but they're actually cool people, um, because they
Hmm.
understand that they're psychopaths and they know how to rein it in, but they still are psychopaths. Um, they can't be healed of it. Let's put it that way. So while there are cases in which I think fans, this is obviously you, and fans go too far, localizers by far do not paint themselves in a good light. They still defend the Dragon Maid dub. They bragged about fixing Lovely Complex. I'm not familiar with that one. And the continue
That's
to
a whole
insist
clustercluck.
they continue to insist they're doing a good thing. And the thing is they're insisting they're doing a good thing because it's got to be good because they have to virtue signal. They have to win points. They have to be like, look at me, worship me, because I am doing something good for the people who can't.
Yeah, so I mean, on that topic, to explain a little bit of the lovely complex thing, it only recently got an English dub and was like brought over to the United States.
I don't even know what it is, so that's why I'm saying like
It's a romance. It's like a height gap kind of romance, where it's like a shorter dude and a taller girl,
oh,
something like that. If I can remember correctly,
it's
I
it's
haven't
it's the
watched it.
reverse dangers of the hearts, basically.
No, I think it's kind of actually. I might have said that wrong. It's pretty much the same thing, where
Or no,
she's
no, no,
taller than him.
yeah. Sorry, it wouldn't be reverse. My bad. It'd be the
Um,
same. That was actually a fantastic series, by the way.
Dangers in My Heart is awesome. But in this one, basically the big changes that ended up mattering is there is a I won't use the term that gets everyone, demonetized, but there is a male character who dresses like a female, but doesn't actually identify as female. And
Is
the
that the
localized
Otokone or whatever they're called,
Auto Kanoko
or that
is
thing? Yeah.
kind of the term that is used
Because I
for
know
it
there's
in
like
Japanese,
six
to what I understand.
terms, but they all have like slight differences to them.
Mhm.
So I don't remember which one it is.
Yes. Yeah, it gets a little bit more complex once you
It
start
annoys
talking
me every
about
time it shows
Japanese,
up, but yeah.
because the Japanese have words for things that we just kind of lump together. Either way, they decided to change it from a dude who is basically a pretty boy who dresses as a woman
Ooh, a
to
full-blown girl.
being trans.
Oh, even worse. Okay. I mean,
Um,
I think it would be less offensive if they just made it a girl, like a gender bender, and then just like skip the whole boy thing. And honestly,
mhm.
I'd probably be okay with that, provided they never actually show him like topless like a man or anything, because that's just weird. But
But basically, when fans found out about this, they were pretty upset. And one of the localizers who was working on this is a YouTuber under the name of Jello Apocalypse. And if you know anything about Jello Apocalypse, he is most famous for trying to, get YouTube clout by calling Eiichiro Oda a PDF file.
who?
Um, Eiichiro Oda is the writer of One Piece.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
yeah. I was just
He
the
made a
way
whole
you said it. I
video.
was just like the H what now? What now?
Eiichiro Oda, yes. Um,
Ichiro.
he made a whole video basically condemning Oda for quote unquote sexualizing young characters
Like what?
like Nami.
But Nami's not young.
Well, yeah, it's.
Like anybody who knows
I mean,
anything about One Piece knows like they have a flashback where she's young, but after that
mhm.
she's like an
I mean,
older
they're all
teen.
getting fucking pissed drunk all the time. They are clearly over
I
21.
mean, they're pirates; they don't care about laws to begin with, but or morality for that matter. Really, to be fair, but
They don't look like teenagers though. Let's just like put it that way.
well,
And they
that's the
never
thing.
behave like
It's
teenagers.
like even
The
if she
the, the
is a
point is though
teenager,
that
she's 17 plus. Like she's not the
I haven't
14
even
year old.
gotten to like what really kicked off Jello Apocalypse's uh bullshit in Lovely Complex is he went and he basically said um that yeah, we made this show better. You only remember it in like a good light because of nostalgia and because you grew up with it. But everything that you like about the show is what we've done to it. We've changed it. We've made these changes to make it better. He was effectively saying the quiet part of the whole localizer game out loud. And now here's where it gets really, really ironic is rather than condemn him for making those claims, infamous localizer Katrina Leonidakis then went out to say, how dare you go out and say this out in the open? You're just making our jobs worse now because everyone's going to scrutinize us even harder.
Now, is she infamous because she's the same like localizer who ruins things, or is she
Yes.
okay? So she's basically
Mhm.
like, stop telling everyone that we're actually doing the
I
bad
believe
touchy
you will
touchy to the
see
children. It's like what?
Yeah, I believe you will see some of her posts in this image down here.
Okay, as long as you point them out, because I'm not gonna recognize any of them.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then Chibi obviously did his review. This is what
Hmm.
localizers have been doing to anime and gaming for years. For those unaware, now the one I'd be really interested in is the gaming aspect because I'm assuming it's related to like Japanese games coming over, like Final Fantasy or something.
Hmm.
Because it's like if it's a Western game, what do you need localizers for? Unless maybe it's like Polish, like The Witcher, and they're translating it over to English or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think the most famous example in this regard is I believe it's one of the Fire Emblem games
oh
where an
no.
entire section of dialogue is taken out of the Fire Emblem game in the English translation because the localizers wanted to make a joke about how ninjas are silent. So rather than translating an entire conversation between two ninjas, all they do is put like dot 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 for an entire scene.
This is why I stopped playing Fire Emblem. Also, because I really, really, really wanted just like an actual RPG in the Fire Emblem universe, and they kept giving us the like Hyrule, the Fire Emblem Warriors stuff, and I'm like, okay, I like it, but those games, like the whole what are they called? The Chinese versions. You know what I'm talking about? Where like you have just hordes of guys that are just like grunts, then you just mow through them to capture points. Like they're just not fun. They're not. It's like the Chinese version of Star Wars Battlefront, where like you capture points, but like actually the AI are useful or something, like they count towards something, and they're just it's like Samurai Warriors and all those kind of games. I know the Chinese have a whole bunch. Dynasty Warriors. That's the one I'm thinking of. Dynasty Warriors, where it's just like they have one for One Piece, they have them for Zelda, which is Hyrule Warriors. Who've got the Fire Emblem Warriors, and it's just it's a cool concept, but it's like put this in an actual RPG system because Fire Emblem's notorious turn-based strategy, and you move all the individual characters individually, but it gets kind of annoying after a while, and you're just like, I'd rather just be in a world where I can be this character and run around like Skyrim and just kill things and like conquer territories and whatnot. That would be fun. That's not what they do. Um, but gosh, I mean, that reminds me of things like, so you remember Space Marines 2 when it came out, right?
I remember it coming out. Is
Okay,
there something specific I'm supposed to recall?
so when it came out, somebody was talking about, I think it was Arch from Archcast was talking about it, and was talking about how like somebody literally out there in the ether was talking about Games Workshop, and was like they'd go into this gaming room because they were talking about the gatekeeping thing because of it, and so this lady goes into a gaming shop, like a tabletop game shop, experiences a game of 40K, Warhammer 40K, and then was like, "This is great. I'd love to like show my students in this stuff," but
Oh, I
like
do remember this now that you mention it.
she complains that it's got war in it, and it's like it'd be so much better if there was no war in this and people were nice to each other. And I was like, you literally just removed the game to complain. I love this game so much. I want you to strip everything about this game that makes this game this game. And that's the problem I have with like literally anybody who enters into any space. They did this with Wheel of Time. I like Wheel of Time, but I want you to change the entire story to fit what I like rather than what the story is. And I'm like, you by definition cannot be a fan and do that. Because a fan likes it as it is. Even if you wish something else was different, you accept it for what it is. You don't try to change it. You don't say, I'm a fan, but by definition, then at that point, you already are not a fan. So doing that to Tolkien, doing that to Robert Jordan, doing that to anime, doing it to video games. Like, I like what you are selling, but what if you did it entirely different? It's kind of like the wildest thing I've ever heard. But it's like, what if we took all the violence out of Warhammer 40K? It's like, then you don't have Warhammer 40K. It literally ceases to exist.
Hmm.
But yeah,
It's like, what if we took all of the guns out of Call of Duty?
and give them like plushies, like throwing plushies. Oh, actually, I'd probably play that just for the
I was about
memes.
to say that actually does seem like it would be a really fun meme game to
It's
play
like,
with friends.
well, I mean, that's pretty much what party animals is. You are the plushie, and you just attack each other.
But yeah, I kind of get the point where like people will come in, they'll change the thing that is like, a core value to what made it popular with a niche crowd in the first place in pursuit of wider like universal appeal. Every time people do this, they forget that the universal product is a product for nobody. The
Yeah,
everyone series is the nobody series because the reason things are popular is because they well, it's not because they exclude everyone else. It is because they are specifically appealing to a certain audience, and anyone can come in and engage with it. Like there's no reason why someone who is a woman can't play Warhammer 40K, or there is no reason why someone who is of any sort of ethnicity or political background or whatever can't enjoy anime. It just comes to when you actually want to change the core values of that thing that it really does become a problem. When you start complaining about like um you know your politics or whatever, this goes for the left and the right because I mean they're both kind of doing it right now. When you come in and you are demanding changes or trying to like actively like culturally retcon something, you become a problem because you're the person who is going to ruin the thing that we like by making it something that we don't like anymore.
well, it's because it ceases to be the thing that you like to begin with.
Yeah, like
It's it,
Star
it's
Wars, like
it's like
Marvel,
yeah, it's like throwing
like
a
literally any
skin,
fucking franchise that has gone through this latest phase of creative d- rot. It's the best word I can come
brain
up with.
rot specifically. But I'm going to use a bit of a grotesque scene. Let's imagine Star Wars as a character, and you literally take a knife and you peel off the flesh of that character, and then slap it onto something else entirely, and say, "But Star Wars." It's not Star Wars.
No,
It's
I've described the same thing. Like it's not Star Wars anymore. It's a skinwalker wearing Star Wars' skin.
and it's not like even stapled on properly. It's like half dripping off, the blood's still coming down and everything. I mean, I'm totally metal, but no. But like when I think about this,
Yeah,
I,
rock concerts and
yeah,
hard drugs and teddy bear. Oh wait, what?
I don't know what you're into, but that's definitely not the metal I'm into. I'm more metal. I'm like let's grind someone's bones and body parts into a bag basically and carry it around all day and as blood drips across the floor. Metal kind of thing. But did I say that out loud? But no, it's like when you have like for example Crunchyroll. I remember the good old days when Crunchyroll didn't actually like have like a full on corporation. It was kind of just like people who were passionate about anime, and then they would like
It was a piracy site.
yes, like I said, people passionate about.
No, that's my point. Is it was it was run by people who actually liked anime and were doing what they could to like bring more niche things over to
But here's the sad part: is
the
that the
U.S.
same people that were doing that would now be the people who are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for saying what I said back then when I said I liked looking at that girl because she's hot. I'm so insensitive towards women. I apologize." That's the same people, if not the people that left because they got kicked out or whatever. Like, are you familiar with the Skullgirls franchise?
I've heard of it.
Okay. So Skullgirls is a 2D platformer fighting game. And I say platformer, I mean like 2D side scroller, like fight, all that type of stuff. So it's more like 2D side scroller fighting game. Sorry. I just they have a platform they're standing on. It's a platformer. That's how I think. But the original creator basically got canceled because he's autistic as frick. Not quite as autistic as me, but a different way. And he got me too essentially. And he got yeeted out of his own company. But it turns out it was an elaborate plan by all the women in the company to basically overthrow him and take over the company. And the same people who drew the early adaptation or like the early character designs and stuff are the ones who then take over the business and say that this guy over here is sexist and a PDF file because he's like showing quote unquote underage girls, which again the age of the girls could be literally whatever you make up in your head. Like it varies, but they look like teenagers at the youngest for most of them. I think if I remember correctly, it's been a hot minute since I covered this in my head. I didn't cover it video wise, but um basically they then change the designs on all the characters. Like they go into a game that people bought, change the entire game, and call it Encore. It's like that's not what I bought. I didn't buy your thing. I bought this thing. And you're the ones who made these early designs and were big fans of it. And now you're saying how sick minded you have to be to make these designs. And they changed like panty shots and like literally the bare minimum, like stuff that you would find in pretty much most animes. Like it, it's a big nothing burger because it's not really sexual. It's just like camera angles and stuff. Like it's like the only people who find it sexual are the people who are actively looking for it to be that way. The rest of us are just finding like this cool 2D pixelated smooth animation fighting game. That's all it is. But then going in, changing the entire game to be PC and then basically just forcing that on you. That's like if I was the company that made something like an anime. Let's say Berserk, right? I'm the company that now owns the Berserk IP. I go to your house. I take your mangas. I scrub the pages or cut them out or, alter them, graffitiitize them to change the words. I cover up certain things like, oh, you can't have gore because it's not okay. I can't have any nudity because it's not okay. Any type of sexual possibility, it's not okay. And then I go to your animes of Berserk and then I change all that stuff too. And then I basically make all the women the good guys, all the men the bad guys, and I completely PCify it after you've bought the product and it's in your home. And I say, well, I'm the IP holder, therefore I have the right to do this. Instead of just making a second gear and an entirely different game, you literally just slap it on top of your old one. That's what they did. Tried to virtue signal and got called out for it. And I'm like, you just broke a contract. You said, if I give you this money, you'll give me this product. You gave me the product, and then you took the product and gave me a different product that I didn't pay for, I didn't agree to, or anything. That's kind of messed up. But it's the same thing as like if they go in and change your entire TV series you own online, digitally, or whatever. They can't do it to the physical copy, but they can do it to obviously a digital like Steam version. But it's that kind of a thing where they think it's okay because they're the quote unquote localizers. Now in this case, it's a completely Western made game, but that's essentially what the localizers are doing. Is they're taking something and saying, we got our hands on this, our grubby little nasty hands, and we took our depraved minds and made whatever we wanted to, and the end may be screwed for any other things. Like, it doesn't matter if it destroys the story, it doesn't matter if the characters cease to be the characters, because we're going to come up with our own fanfics anyway, and they're going to be deplorable as any depraved person could come up with anyway. So,
They're trying to force their own sense of morality onto culture,
yeah.
and it's not going to work. It doesn't work when you try to force your own sense of
Well,
morality
I mean, it
onto
works
any group.
because they made the change, and that's the official change. It doesn't work in terms of people accepting it, but it does work in the fact that they did it. Because
No, that's what I mean is people won't accept it, and it's not like you've actually made any meaningful change. You haven't actually persuaded people over to your sense of morality. All
yeah.
you've done is give them no other option.
Well, they have taken a large portion of people who are like, I don't do conflict. So they can't handle conflict. They're like, oh, it's just a little thing. And they turn it into the whole, like, the gatekeeper collapsers, where they're like, oh, well, I mean, we want more people to enjoy our hobby, so let's let people in. And then they'll let people in, and those people, it's literally just a Trojan horse. They enter in, and they just destroy everything. They burn the city to the ground. They kill everybody inside. That's what they do because they want it to be their thing. But then once it's destroyed, then they leave. They don't even stick around. They don't want to enjoy it because they're there for the time where it's popular. And as soon as it ceases to be popular, they leave. But because the hardcore fan base left because of the changes, then the creators are like, but hey, we're still us. Come back. And the niche audience is like, no, I'm going to go find something else. This happened to Dungeons and Dragons, for example. It completely collapsed. So you have a lot of really crammed together, or I should say, Chibi has a lot of really crammed together stuff, and I don't understand it. So hopefully you can explain it to me. So we'll start out with, wow, I just blinded my eyes.
Okay.
Tell me if you want to go
Ah,
left to right, up and down, because I don't know what's attached to what.
it doesn't matter. It generally doesn't matter because a lot of these are just individual posts, and if they're tied together, you can kind of see where they are. But anyway, like this first one here, the Axis and Xseed friends. Hey, Senran Kagura.
Yeah, I know that's what I'm saying. It's like, I know Xseed. I know Marvelous. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. I don't know if this is somebody saying, don't pick it up because I don't want you to butcher it, or don't pick it up because I don't want this kind of content in the political correct world.
I'm assuming that the intent behind this is I don't pick it up because it is incredibly sexist.
Okay. Because I would say this for entirely different reasons. Like, don't ruin the series.
No, you can generally assume the worst out of a lot of these.
And that's what I would say, but I'm hoping that's what the actual um like context is. I don't know what the context is. It seems like it came out of like far left field,
Yes.
but I think he's relating to the Ben Bateman thing below it, and he's like retweeting it or something. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know if the comments are
Um,
attached or
I
not.
I don't really know what's going on with that.
It's all kind of a
Um,
blur together. Like this
yeah.
one is obviously attached
Mhm.
and like
Yeah,
saying
it's a
this is
retweet.
really to this, but I don't know if this is to this or if this is something else entirely. It could be its own thing. Um,
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah,
there's another one.
we'll
Just
go through these, but like this one, if you want to cover that, we'll move on.
it kind of looks like the Ben Bateman thing might be a part of
It
that.
looks like it's a comment though because it's below
Yeah,
the thingy.
it does. It does look like it was a comment.
But I
Um,
can't tell because Ben Bateman doesn't even make it sound like I can't, it almost sounds like a neutral comment because he says coming across super blatant racism and sexism in localization work is interesting because it's half OMG and half oh thank goodness I can fix this. Like it doesn't I it's like he's reporting on it but he doesn't have an actual opinion on it is how it comes across
well,
because
I this is one where like I did say that fans can go too far, and sometimes people read too much into things. This may be one of those cases, but to me, it comes across as he's just talking about like very generic, mild stuff that you would see in just about any anime, like super blatant racism, or so let's just go with like super blatant sexism, might be a joke about at like a woman's expense.
well that's what I'm saying but it's in localization work not in the original content.
No,
That's
what
where
he
it's
means
weird.
by localization work, because if you read the rest of this, he's specifically talking about when he's working localizing something, he has the opportunity to
Oh,
fix.
I because in the context for me reading this, I don't even pick up that he's a localizer.
Well,
Because I
I
don't know
mean,
Ben Bateman, so if Ben Bateman is a
I
localizer, then
don't particularly either, but you read the whole thing, it goes, it's half, oh my God, and half, oh, thank God I can fix this. So clearly he's talking about when he's working on things and he comes across this stuff that he considers blatantly racist or sexist, he has the chance to fix it, which suggests that he looks at things and says, oh, I can fix this. I can change this to be better.
I can see that. But the other side from like my original initial thoughts is he's coming across what is considered super blatant racism, sexism, and localization work, which could be any localizer that's diving into this, like the ones you have mentioned in other prior times to this.
Without
And
examples, we can't really determine what he means. So I have to assume that
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it could be the way you're thinking it. It could be the way I'm thinking it because from my perspective, every time they change something like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, to me that's blatant racism and sexism because they're racist towards the Japanese and they're sexist towards the character because it's not the way they want her to be. So to me, I'm agreeing with this statement apparently for the opposite reason that it's I guess intended to be because to me it's OMG is like OMG you're ruining this work and then the other half is oh thank goodness I can actually change this into a localized thing that is
I don't think this
current
is a
PC.
like a generous interpretation
Okay,
whatsoever.
then that might be the case, but that's not how I initially like understood it. Maybe that's just because I'm innocent and my old fossilage age. But but then you have eventually you people attached to the localization industry in the West will have to answer why you're deliberately cultivating these echo chambers onto the whole community, doxing anyone with opinions you don't agree with while adding your own politics on a narrative in a post. And then LOL, no we won't.
This must have been May of 2020. Yes, this would have been before AI localization was actually a thing that was on the table.
Thank goodness for AI.
Well,
Not
there
something you
are
hear very
issues.
much nowadays, but
There are issues with that, but I don't feel bad for people like this who are effectively like, this isn't even a denial. It's literally just, yeah, we're doing it. What are you gonna fucking do about it?
and that's basically what I'm saying. Is like you will have to answer why you're doing this, and they're like, no, we won't. And that's the truth is that they won't. But here's the thing: it costs money for localization, so anything that's priorly been screwed over isn't going to be changed by the parent company. Like this is one of those things where I wish I was freaking Elon Musk level, and I could go to Japan and say whatever they're offering you, I will offer you more, and I will just I will localize this with a proper team that understands your culture, respects your culture, and respects your translation or the translation to like respect your work. And I will put this out as you intended it to be represented. And then if people understand, because the more people watch anime, the more they will understand Japanese culture from that perspective. Obviously, not all of Japanese culture because anime is only a portion of Japanese culture, it's not the entirety of it. But they'll understand the jokes better eventually over time. They'll understand the quote unquote sexualization or whatever. And even because I know there's this one thing about the whole racism aspect, because they had, I'm sure I shared it back in the day in Weebs and Waifu and also in private stuff, where it had the wall of all these anime characters that are quote unquote black characters, and then like the Western side was black, like all these characters, and then on the Eastern side or the Japanese side, it was like this is this name, this is this name, this is this name. Like they're all individual different like ethnicities and stuff, and like one of them was black. The rest were all like variances of either natives or other type of brown
Some of them
color
were
type
just
thing.
Pan, some of them were
Yeah,
Okinawan.
yeah, like they were a variety because the Japanese aren't freaking racists that just call everything black that has a dark color of skin, and it's like that's the way the localizers think, is just this whole section black. And it's like, but it's not. Like the fact is that the Japanese creators and Japan in general, ironically, probably even not realizing it, respects other ethnicities and races way more than the people who are the localizers. Like no competition, because if they're going like, we have definitions of this, we have definitions of this, we have definition of this, we have definition of this, and they're like going down the list. It's like the different versions of Gyarus, right? Or Gyaru? Is it Gyaru or Gyaru?
Gyaru.
Yeah. So Gyarus, you have the ones that do like the super dark, and then they have like the super bright eyeliner and like mascara and everything, all the way up to like the Hokkaido gals are cute thing, because they don't even darken their skin; they just blonde their hair and wear skirts and then do their nails. Like it's very very simple, but they're all categorized in the same, but they're just different levels, and they behave differently because that's what they freaking want to do. But that's more variety as opposed to they're all just gyarus. Because for localization, it's like this is, exploiting the females who want to be pretty and making them look ugly, blah 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 blah. But then at the same time, it's better to look ugly than I can't. You can't win. You can't win. It's just they're either ugly and they're not supposed to be, or they're ugly because they're supposed to be because they're not supposed to be pretty. They're like I don't get it. Um, but essentially, that's what this is. Is like, haha, we can do what we want and a shove off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have just translated, whatever that is, as incels, because that's totally a word in the Japanese dictionary. Like, even if it was, the context would never be like this. Because I think they don't use the term incels, they use the term shut ins, which I would believe this is probably the word shut in. They just changed it to incel, and they couldn't be prouder for it.
It it's probably actually the word for virgin.
Oh, even worse. Like, a
Hmm.
shut in would be closer to an incel than a virgin, because
I don't know enough Japanese off the top of my head, but if I had to take a
yeah,
guess as to what that word is, it's probably something that would translate more directly to virgin.
I'm better at Japanese when it comes to audible. Not so good at reading it. Um, yes, I love the idea that localization determines the demographic. Of course, the genre, etc., will have an influence too, but why exclude potential fans by seeking to only appeal to those in the know? Caveat for when the localization calls for niche fandom specific language. I think
Uh,
it's because of this right here. The localization determines the demographic, not the other way around. You make the game only tolerable to fans, then only fans would buy it. That's what I mean by it's not our decision to make. We are hired to do a job. So this person, I'm assuming, is a localizer, and this is probably a localizer that's adding to it. But that's the
so
thing.
it looks like this person is saying that like you don't if I'm reading this correctly, this person on the bottom is saying that effectively they're trying to justify like, oh, we're trying to make it for a broader audience
We're making it
without
for the
really
West, not the East, essentially.
without realizing that a lot of people who will be into this game anyway will be into it specifically because of what it already was, not
Well,
because you're going to make it more appealing to them somehow.
well, it's like if you take a game like Civilization, right? So civilization starts in, they have some games where they start like in the Stone Age era or whatever, and then you work your way all the way up to like the space era, and you're like giant death robots and nuclear bombs and stuff. But like you're in the Stone Age essentially, and then they start using like car terminologies for like mechanical parts, and you're sitting here like, that isn't, why is this here? And then they're like, but we're making it for a different demographic. I'm like, yes, but the demographic is, we understand that we're playing a quote unquote historically loosely based game, and that the eras are going to be era coded. They're going to be in this era. Is going to be like wump wump. Is going to be the language you're going to understand because it's the Stone Age. Like it's cave people. But then all of a sudden, speaking articulately and speaking in like some high philosopher is not going to fit. But it's the West, not the East. It's the dumbest argument you could ever come up with. And the localization determines the demographic. No, because people will come in, they'll find out, and then they will return their game. Like Steam is, that's one of the things I love about Steam. It's because like if these things showed up on Steam, you could see the purchase, and then if they showed a return, like somebody like, I don't want this game anymore, or it wasn't what I was expecting. Like Steam gives you like a 2 hour window or whatever, and like, as soon as people know about this, like, oh, I was looking forward to this, unwish listing, giving it a bad review because they're like, this kind of stuff is unacceptable because you're destroying the game for your own personal pleasure rather than being true to the story, true to the characters, etc. Like that kind of a thing is going to happen. And do you remember the Last of Us 2 Part 2 kerfuffle?
I never played it, but I do know the kerfuffle.
Okay. I never played it either, but I watched enough content in my pretty much have played it. Um, you had people in Korea, Japan, etc., like destroying their discs out of rage. Like not even taking it back to their the place they bought it from. They like, as soon as everyone found out that Abby kills Joel, people, and not even just that, but like the fact that you are forced to play Abby. You're forced to play the character you despise because Nick Druckmann was, or is it Nick Druck? What's his name? Neil Druckmann. Neil Druckmann's like, we want you to understand where she's coming from. Like, nobody wants to understand where she's coming from because where she's coming from is trash. That's just a fact. I'm sorry. If you've played the game, it's a trash position. It's a revenge fantasy that is completely immoral in every shape of the word. But you have to play like hours of Abby when you don't want to play Abby. You want to hunt Abby down and kill her from a moral perspective. It's like you're actually stopping somebody who's a rampaging psychopath mad woman. And people were like absolutely just pissed. Like the level of returns. That game is the reason GameStop changed their return policy. Because it used to be, if you have the game and you return it within like 7 days or whatever, you could get a refund. They changed it so you couldn't refund the game. Because that many people were trying, like thousands upon thousands of people were trying to refund the game because they couldn't stand it. Now keep in mind, the first game has high praises. The DLC of the first game's a little but I think the DLC came out like closer to the second one being released. So it was like made by a different team or whatever, because it was all about like lesbians and stupid crap that didn't really have much to do with the original story. They just kind of threw it in there because Neil Druckmann is a beta cuck. But when the second one, like, we're gonna just stop doing refunds because we're getting too many of them, and that's like globally. Like GameStop just everywhere was just, no, we're not taking things back, because all you ever see in the news is, what were the sales? Well, the sales were huge. Like, have you seen? Again, you're a Monster Hunter fan. You see how Monster Hunter Wilds went boom and like skyrocketed when it released, and you had millions of players concurrent. And you look at it now, and it's like boo, it completely died. But that's just Steam. Imagine seeing that for like all consoles. And yeah, there are going to be people who are hardcore fans that are going to love it no matter what. And obviously, you didn't enjoy the game because it wasn't the same as the prior games and it was a little bit more normie friendly or whatever. But imagine being a fan of the series and being like, you just destroyed this series because you didn't optimize it properly. You didn't put love and care into this. You're just Capcom being a bunch of dickholes. And I mean, that's the reason I don't like Capcom in general. But
Yeah, I don't blame you. Capcom hate is based.
I mean, Capcom has made some great stuff like the Soul Calibur games and whatnot. And they did Dragon's Dogma, but they don't update anything. They're still on PS2 graphics for crying out loud and PS2 fonts. Like it's amazing. I didn't know it was possible to pull this off. They somehow managed to pull it off. Whatever. Props to them for being so old school they can't possibly update. But imagine what they could come up with if they came into the here and now. But don't like say this is a new thing and then be like, no, this is from like 1980. Like it's horrible. But needed to say it's that kind of a thing where like the popularity, like these localizers think, oh, this is super popular, but imagine if you saw the returns, imagine if you saw the negative reviews, it would be like twice as bad. It'd be people going like, I don't even have the game and I'm returning it. Like, did you ever watch the or watch slash listen to the Snow White, the new Disney Snow White thing where they did the song, the AI song? Did you ever see that? Basically, somebody took a whole bunch of the comments for the Snow White, like they saw the
Oh
trailer, and
yes,
they
yes,
they
I saw
compile it into
that.
a song. And this one guy's just like, it's like if I was on an airplane, I'd still walk out. It's like base, but it was just like constantly just beating the snot out of it. And then the movie comes out, and you're like, yeah, it is that bad because it stopped being a Snow White film and started to become this female empowerment film, trying to use the title and the names of Snow White, but doesn't have the Prince Charming or whatever you want to call him. It doesn't have a love story. It doesn't have the witch being taken out by the dwarves. It's like a revolution will defeat them with love, because you know that famous Star Wars quote from was it Last Jedi?
Oh
we
yes.
won't defeat them by destroying them.
We don't win this war by destroying what we hate, but by saving what we love. No, you
it's
fucking win wars by destroying the things you hate.
it's literally the
That's
call.
the only way you
It's
win a
literally the
war.
Call of Duty meme game where you like we're gonna destroy them, or we're not gonna win by destroying our what we hate with guns. We're gonna win by throwing plushies at them. It's that stupidity, but um, yes, politically correct is a verb that describes how SJWs improve translations. Okay, politically correct and improve are never in the same definition ever, because it's this,
Improved translations. Interpretation here. Yeah, I change things that make me feel angry.
yeah, but it's also things like it's the concept of, well, it's progressive, therefore it's good. I'm like, no, 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 no. You can progress in a bad way. You can progress towards the cliff edge. You can progress over the cliff edge. It's gonna have a bad ending though. Like progress for the sake of progress isn't progress. It's going backwards. Like you can overextend in the direction, like you're thinking, oh, we've had this such kind of oppression or like whatever. Like it's almost like we take the liberty concept where we went from like we've been oppressed by a king across the ocean for so long, so we adopt liberty, and then people down the line take liberty so extensively. Like, well, I can do whatever I want. I can burn your house down because I don't like the mole on your face, and they just go completely the opposite direction with it. And it's like that's not progress. That's regress. You're going the wrong direction. You swerved when you should have gone straight. Like you zigged when you should have zagged. And this idea is like, well, it's an improving because we're in the right. We're morally correct. And it's like, but you're not though, because what you're doing is being racist and sexist towards an entire ethnicity and nationality and civilization, or even an entire categorization, like Asians in general. completely counting them all in as like bad people because you don't like how they do things because it's a different culture. It's stupid. You got a couple of these guys, but I look forward to the day we can just leave everything in Japanese and still cash a paycheck.
Basically, he's lazy.
I mean, that's progress, right? But it's like if you leave everything in Japanese, you didn't do anything to like you're not localizing. But I would prefer you do that than localize. That's a weird cell phone. Translators are 100% writers. No, 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 or as the Australians say, nar, nar. You're incorrect.
I don't think what even the most writing that you would do as a translator to make something maybe a little bit flow a little bit more smoothly or sound nicer in English still wouldn't qualify you as a writer.
A writer is somebody who does
At
something
most, you would be an
original.
editor.
Yes, you are an adjuster. You're not an author. Like you're taking something and saying, I don't know how this would make sense in a sentence because I mean, from what I understand, because again, I'm not like a Japanese speaker in terms of like understanding how they write things, but like when it comes to language, some languages, and I don't know if this necessarily counts in Japanese, I think it does, but in some languages, they verb, subject, proper noun, or verb, proper noun, subject.
I can explain this to you actually. In
Okay,
Japanese, everything in the sentence comes before the verb. The verb is the very last word of every sentence.
but they also do their last names first and their first names last. And it's like that's counter to how we understand things. But if you watch anime when they do it, we're like, I want to hear it the way it is done because if I was like, imagine being that person who watches anime that's always been localized, and then you're like, oh, instead of saying Smith John like they would in Japanese, they say John Smith. You go to Japan and say John Smith, people are gonna look like you're insulting them. I'd rather look at it the way they do and understand and comprehend that, yeah, they do their first name last. It's how you
To be
tell.
fair, if you're trying to learn Japanese from anime only, you're a fucking retard.
Well, to be fair, a lot of people who watch anime are retards, but
Yes, I can attest to that. It's
they
100%
they're
true.
they're mostly localizers though.
But in this case, I don't mind the localization of making it a little bit something that's a little bit more familiar to Americans. It's like Uzumaki Naruto or Naruto Uzumaki. Does it really matter what they say in the English dub? It sounds much more natural to an English speaker to have the given name before the familial name.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That makes sense in that
Um,
regard. I personally would prefer it to be like not like you call him Naruto, but anytime first and last name is in the picture, I personally prefer to say Uzumaki Naruto. I get that I'm probably in the minority in that regard, and that's fine.
well,
I'm not.
you're also very familiar with subs, and subs do that.
Well,
Like
it's because subs are better than dubs in every way, and everyone who thinks otherwise can shove it.
for the most part, there are a few dubs that I actually do
Okay,
like more
I'm
than the
not. I'm
subs.
not saying I dislike dubs. Is not like again. I named them Ghost Stories, Golden Boy, and Go Danner. Those three, Chef's Kiss. They're amazing, and I guess you could throw Desert Punk in there if you want to. Because when I was introduced to anime, I was introduced to the dubs. I didn't have the option of subs at the time, and that's what I
The
know.
reason the reason I bring that argument up though about the name thing is because a lot of people who watch dubs, they're pretty normy too, and they're gonna find it weird that names are said backwards, especially if you're saying it in English.
Sure,
Which
but
is why I would 100% justify in dubs doing it that way. But if you're watching it, like you're not going to watch an anime to learn Japanese. You're actually going to go to a proper class to learn
well, I'm
Japanese.
also thinking
And you
like
will learn these sorts of things about why names are said this way, about honorifics and all that stuff. And you can pick this kind of stuff up by watching, subs and all that. You'll learn a few things, but you still do need some proper training to like understand what the language is.
well, and like I would agree for the most part, but like when you have somebody say like I'm Uzumaki Naruto, but most of the anime is just Naruto, 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 Naruto. You understand his name's Naruto. I hopefully have enough brain cells to rub together to understand that Uzumaki's his last name, not his first name. But that's just how the character does it. Because if that's the case, why not change his name from Naruto, like Uzumaki Naruto, to Smith John or
Well,
John Smith? Why not just change it to
the order of the
English?
name
Why
is
stick to anime
the
names?
order of the name is an inconsequential detail that I do not think people need to get bent out of
I,
shape
I I get that, but I'm saying like if it becomes somebody who's like that hell bent on translating because like that doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, it will make sense if you if you show it properly, like you introduce them like Umazaki Naruto, and then the rest of the series you basically refer to him as Naruto. Any halfwit can figure that out,
True.
but
I have no objection to
but
that.
that's
My
how
point is
that's how a person presents it. But if they present it as in I'm Umazaki Naruto, I'm Umazaki, like it's always Umazaki Naruto. Everyone's gonna think it's the first name's Umazaki if you're looking at it from a Western perspective. But if you're actually introducing it properly, people won't have that problem. It's all in the writing, I guess, in that particular stance. Now, if somebody's gonna be so hell bent on I have to translate it so people in English because they're stupid need to understand it, the Western content, then make a freaking Western name and like freaking call him Clint Eastwood. like like go the full mile and just ruin the anime if it's that big of a deal to somebody from a localization perspective, because you're already going to ruin everything anyway. You might as well go the extra mile.
I
but i
disagree because
i
I don't think changing the order of the name ruins
no,
everything.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like if it's that big of a deal where you're going to go above and beyond. I agree with you that they could say it that way, like they could say Naruto Uzumaki for a Western audience. I'm saying if you have to go further than that, you might as well just change it to an English name. Like we might as well take Naruto out of like a ninja world in a fantastical setting and just make it LA. And then separate them into gangs that are like ninja clans, but they're gangs in LA, and then just make that the story. Like if we're gonna go start changing things for the Western understanding, go the whole mile. Don't even make it even related to Japanese at this point, because that's what localizers are doing. They're changing it from the Japanese context to a Western context. But if you're going to do that, just change the entire thing. Don't like do the ghost stories. Pull the ghost stories and just scrap the entire script and just make it a whole different thing. If you're going to do that, that's at least a parody that people can get behind, rather than you just blatantly disrespecting Japanese stuff. That's what I would say about it. But he also says here a huge topic of discussion was how much do you edit translations from modern sensibilities? Do you edit racism and sexism or leave it as it is? But the problem is that's your interpretation of racism and sexism.
I feel like it
That's
like
not
if you're
doesn't
talking
inherently mean it
let's give an
is.
example here. Like if you're saying let's say you're translating like a historical work of fiction. Like I don't know, like Huckleberry Finn or something like that. You would think that
I'm your Huckleberry. Sorry.
you would think you would want to keep the racist segments in there,
Mm-hmm.
a part of it, considering it takes place in the deep south in a time period where black people weren't exactly treated very well. You would think that that would be
Well, it's like
important to the series.
Uncle Tom. Is it Uncle Tom's Cabin? Is that the original story? That's why it came up with Uncle Tom is for people who were like traitors to the black race or whatever.
Oh yeah, Uncle Tom's Cabin is where that
Yeah,
comes from.
okay. I was trying to remember. I haven't read it, so I'm just like I hear it
Neither have I.
referenced, and I'm just like whatever. But it's essentially like, do we whitewash, not literally the color, but like do we clean everything up so nice and tidy that we remove all the bad content because we're very sensitive to the point where the story lacks a proper villain. Like for example, one I use a lot, and you've probably heard me say it multiple times, is Wheel of Time, Padon Fane. Padon Fane is literally two different forms of evil compiled into one. Like literally, basically Satan and an antichrist crammed into one as like a one person blended of both, but they're against each other. So like the antichrist hates Satan, but you merge them together into one being. He then goes out and he does horrible things to people, and he's evil, evil, evil. But one notable scene is he's talking to his basically orcs, the Trollocs, and his orc leaders, the halfmen slash um uh wow, I just brain dead Murdral, and basically is telling them stuff. Then he turns to this woman and her child and basically tells them he's going to grape them until they scream and then enjoy every moment of it. And then that's what he ends up doing, but it's off screen. But you remove that because modern sensibilities. I'm like, but that's how you know he's a bad dude. That's part of the reason you're supposed to despise him. Like if you go to a story and you see a guy do something bad to a child, like hit them, abuse them, or anything else like that, you get angry at the character. That's part of the story. Not that you want to see it, not that you are looking forward to it, but it's what helps define the character to you. Because if the character does that stuff, but you remove all that content, you're like, oh, this guy's not so bad. He hasn't done much. I mean, he basically stole some kid's ice cream cone. Woo, it's not that big of a deal. But then you find out like the actual story. It's like Pokemon. Oh, we're just catching Pokemon, blah, blah. We'll go back to the original anime. No, they killed and maimed and ate Pokemon. Like, it's grotesque compared to what they're trying to sell you now. It's the we're clearing
Well,
it out to make it look good. But if you do that for Rise of the Shield Hero, if you remove the slavery and treating demi-humans as less than and all that kind of stuff, well, then he doesn't get the character that helps him out, that becomes really close to him. He doesn't go on this crusade to help people become better people. He doesn't do all these things that he does because it doesn't exist. Because nobody was going to willingly join him on his quest. He had to go buy somebody to basically help him out. But he basically frees her immediately and says, hey, I just want you to help me out or whatever. Like, even it's like, I just need somebody to help me because I can't do offense. And because she was saved and she was taken from a life of misery and put into a life of just amazing turnaround, she wants to become his shield, pun intended, in an offensive format, and she wants to protect him by vanquishing his foes and does everything. Like, he becomes her everything in a very healthy format. And he's not taking advantage of her, he's not exploiting her or anything. But if you remove slavery, you lose that entire storyline. You can't localize that out. It doesn't make sense then.
well, yeah. Here's one of the things where the point I was getting to is you really need to define what you're talking about when you say racism slash sexism because it's such ambiguous commentary at this point because people have different definitions of it and you do need to understand what you mean by those words given everything that we've seen of
Well,
this
that would
guy so
require them to
far.
have context, and that they can't do
I
that.
I would I would not put it past him to consider, mild random things racist or sexist. There would be
You mean like Miss
when it
Kobayashi's
comes to
Dragon Maid?
certain like historically important elements, yeah, you absolutely do need to keep those in there. Like I said, like with the whole thing about um Huckleberry Finn, it's kind of important for the context of when and where it was all set.
Yeah.
If you come across something that is just, like an HP Lovecraft sort of thing where he's using the N word just because he can, that's a different situation entirely.
Well,
Like,
that's like the actual author being blatantly racist towards something
mhm,
because he just despises a people group, rather than a character using it because that's the character. Like there are very
yeah,
distinctive differences in that regard.
yeah, it's like I believe it's the Hateful Eight. They use the N word a lot in there, but it makes sense because the time period where that movie is set is one in which a black man would most definitely be referred to as the N word by every white person in the area.
Yeah, it's when they go over the top, and you're just like, you had me in the first half. I'm not gonna lie, but then you like completely swerve, and
Mm.
it's like, well, now you're
Either
not
way,
speaking sense.
treating it like you have full license to do whatever you want to a work because you're the one translating it is bullshit.
See, and I know this would sound very pedantic. 'Cause I am a pedantic person. I care very much about context,
Okay,
and I care.
Metatron.
Hey, I was pedantic before it was cool, but and I do like Metatron. He's a cool dude. Um, when I'm the kind of person that if I was a localizer, and apparently I do a better job than these guys because most of these guys, I'm pretty sure, even in this page, say I don't even know Japanese. Like, I would actually go above and beyond, and I would do basic research. I would either reach out to the author or reach out to people who are very intimate with the content and be like, what was the meaning behind this? Because I need to be able to transfer this in a way to people in this area that I'm a part of, like the West, would be able to understand it the way you're trying to express it. And I want to do my best to make that happen. Now, I know a lot of people wouldn't do that because it's more work, and a lot of companies won't let you do that because it's more hours and they have to pay you more and blah, 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 all that jazz. But I would do that just because I want it to be as close to it as possible. And I would probably befriend several Japanese people who are based, who are going to give me the actual context, not the woke ones who are doing like the history of, you know, Assassin's Creed Sasuke. It's an actual Japanese historian. I'm like, oh yeah, you're a Japanese historian. I can tell you that. I mean, literally, she's Japanese and is a quote unquote historian. But I would go to people and say, like, what does this mean in this context? And maybe they could reach out to some of their friends or whatever. I would just want to communicate, get the best possible translation out of it, and make it in a way that I can both make it interesting, not even interesting, not interesting, that's the wrong word. Make it understandable and still hold to the heart of what they're trying to say. I don't want to change it just because I'm, you know, I'm the arbiter of truth and justice. I'm a total justice warrior. Yeah. I always try to slip a few mentions of Gamergate into my translation.
There's a very blatant example of things that don't belong in a translation.
Anything modern.
Well, if it's a modern series, it would fit, but I mean,
No,
if we're
like even a modern, like even a sci-fi series that's like beyond the future, like it's already experienced this stuff. Using the word Gamergate wouldn't make sense because nothing in anime is made in real life. It's always a made up fictional version of real life. It's not the actual real life. Because
no,
it's not
I
how
get
they.
what you're saying, specifically when we're talking about Gamergate, but like modernisms, you could make the argument for like something like My Dress Up Darling. Okay, a lot of people get really upset over the dub for that, but it's
I'm
one of
not
those
familiar with
things
what
where
you're
I'm
talking
like,
about. So,
it's one of those things where I'm just like,
what are they upset
okay,
about,
whatever.
and what's the modernism?
Uh, basically just the way Maureen speaks,
Does she speak like a gal where it's hip? Is that how she speaks?
she
Or
basically speaks like a hip person using like words like Riz and that kind of stuff
okay, that's in the localization. You mean?
in the dub. Yes, it's cringe, sure,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't
That's
think it's entirely out of character to say something like that.
I think.
I still prefer the sub though.
I mean, I would consider her a gal, wouldn't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
and no,
So
what I'm saying is
I
like
would say that's not as big of a sin
that's what
because
I'm saying is it's
it's
not out
kind
of
of in
line.
it, but I think that if they use the actual term, it would still be better. But
It's not out of that's what I'm saying is it's not
it's
out
not
of
completely out of
line
character, and
for
it's.
her to act like that because that's just how she is in the series. A lot of people will, get up in arms about how much they change and like all the quote unquote brain rot language. And at that point, like,
I mean, yeah, it is brain rot
sure,
language.
sure, I think it's cringy, but it's not out of character for Marin. She's
You,
unabashedly cringy and weird.
well, yeah, and that's the thing is that she's a gal, and the gals are kind of weird in their culture, and I get that, but it's a different type of cringe. It's not Riz kind of cringe. It's not like
Either way,
skibbity toilet or whatever. It's cringe.
you start mentioning like patriarchy or
Gamergate.
Gamergate in any of these, you
Those
have
that's a
most
way worse.
definitely crossed a line and
That's a
started
way worse
mentioning American
sin than
politics.
Riz. Yeah, yeah, I
Yes.
agree. But I would prefer them not use the term Riz because it doesn't make sense from a Japanese perspective. Like
I would prefer
if I called up some Japanese people that are in Japan and part of that culture and said, "Do you guys use the term Riz?" They'd be like, "No." They'd be like, "Nah, brah, fam." Like,
well,
that'd be
well
it'd be so stupid. Sorry.
it's just I forgot exactly what I was gonna say and where I
That's
was gonna
okay.
go.
It's the brain rot. It's getting to you.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's what I was gonna say is I would prefer people just in general to stop using the word "riz" because I fucking hate that way that people speak like that. It doesn't add character. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you funny. It makes you sound retarded. Knock it off.
It's like, well, Japan is super racist based, sexist based, homophobic. Not really, actually. They're very big into Yuri and Yaoi. Uh, Fatphobic based. Well, also because
Ultra based.
ultra based. Time to go to the gym and pump some weights. Yeah. But pretty much everything else. They rank 110 out of 144 countries in terms of gender equality. Japan gonna Japan. I mean, it's not like they're banning it. It's just it's societally frowned upon because
Well, it's
gender
their
equality,
culture has more traditional values.
which would be more
Gee,
that's based, but I wish more countries had that. Which ironically, more countries in the West have that. Like if they're
and
110 out of 144, do you know how many more countries are ahead of them in line of better in terms of like more based? Now, obviously, they're going to add the Middle East, and that's a little bit too extreme, but
mhm.
that's only going to be like 6 or 7 countries probably.
Here's the thing: is this lacks in like fucking perspective? It's not like women are banned from getting jobs or anything.
And quite
It's
the
not like they're
opposite,
paid different.
actually. They get paid to be salary women.
Yeah, they're like in. Let's talk about okay, everyone's favorite thing. Uh, Japan has one of the lowest like sex crime rates in the entire world. We're just gonna casually ignore that.
It'd be even lower if they had guns.
So it's one of those things where like how you rank gender equality is going off of generally bullshit statistics, which I can assume probably have something to do with the mythical wage gap, which has everything to do with what men and women decide to do differently in their lives. Independent of any sort of societal factors, men and women will make different choices.
Well, yeah, because they're different. Shocking.
Hmm.
Even two men will make different choices, and
Yes.
two women will make different choices.
Here's the thing: no one's barring a woman from being a construction worker. It's just women don't want to be construction workers.
That's the whole STEM argument. Is like we're not keeping women out of STEM. Women are not joining STEM, and if they are
And
joining STEM, they're either succeeding or they're not beating the baseline bare minimum to pass into that area. Or there's so many people in STEM that there's nobody there to put. There's no job opportunities
it
because it's
isn't
such a
our
niche area.
it isn't men's fault that we take on all of the dangerous high paying jobs that nobody else wants to do.
Because if we didn't, everybody would be bad luck. Now, I will say
I
one
would not want to be one of the people like doing welding out at sea. It sounds like freaking
the under
awful
the
work.
deep sea well. Oh, dude, that's it's terrifying. I mean, one, it destroys their body, and they can only work for like 6 months, and then they have to retire. I mean, they get paid buco bucks, but I still wrecking your body and also having the chance that just a shark grabs you and just you disappear. That's terrifying. Um, but like, if you think about it, Japan has a pretty low birth rate, and I think it's because they've exploited the female population into believing they have to go to work rather than being traditional home wives and stuff. And that's kind of the lie we've gotten in the Western world as well. Is like you have to work, not become a traditional mom, or you have a bunch of kids, you have a house, you keep it tidy, and all that kind of stuff because that's sexist. But it's like, well, your population is going to just destroy itself in a
It's it's
very
not sexist if that's what someone wants.
well. I mean, it can be if the person's sexist, and some women are sexist towards women. But
No, what I'm
it's
saying is
necessarily bad sexism
it's
per
not
se.
sexist for a woman to say, I want to have a family and kids and be a stay at home mom. That's not sexist if someone decides on that. You can make a better argument for it if it is something that is demanded, but there is no demand or regulation that makes women stay at home. Like they're free to make their own life choices at this point.
Well, in the famous words of Alec Guinness, it certainly is sexist from a particular point of view. Good old Obi-Wan.
Dude, the only fucking sexism in this country is the number of women who take cushy tech jobs that do nothing.
You mean like how all of Twitter and Reddit? But yeah, we got. I think once I started getting in on anime production committees, hopefully sometime soon, I've got a couple things in the works. I'll do the medium a whole lot of good as a whole. That's a weird way of redundant.
A lot of good as a whole. There's
Oh,
no
yeah,
whole lot of good.
yeah, whatever. I'm yeah. I can't read. Stupid. Sorry. Wrestle it away from the sexist like you and give it to the marginalized people who deserve it. But what? Marginalized people can enjoy anime just as much as anybody else.
Hmm.
Like, literally, no one's at the shop saying, "You halt, marginalized citizen scum!" Like, you cannot purchase this, and no one's popping up on your screen saying, "Halt! You cannot order this digital version of this thing because you're marginalized." Nobody does that. Although that would be a really funny skit. Um, He's like, you could say that, but you're not the one running two of the biggest English language anime sites, consulting at Crunchyroll, or making sure problematic figures are eliminated from the industry. I don't even like anime that much, and I have more power than you. That speaks volumes. Anytime somebody doesn't like something, but they're in that industry making modifications to it, it's doomed to fail. It's just gonna
Well,
fail.
keep in mind this was back in 2019, so 6 years ago, and we're still talking about this, so clearly they didn't get anywhere.
Well, I mean, they did. Crunchyroll is still around, unfortunately. And
Well, yeah, Crunchyroll is still around, but I mean, they haven't changed any of the fucking production, and we're still talking about the same bullshit. So
yeah,
nothing has changed.
yeah,
Nothing ever happens.
people are still going to be upset that they're ruining the actual context. This one's like, "Hi, I'm Rich. I work at Nintendo." Please don't. That's obviously Nintendo. That's Nintendo America, not Nintendo Japan. Making Japanese games be English, but I don't speak Japanese. I just do the writing. How am I not working at these companies? Japan, freaking hire me.
See,
I'll do
this
you
one,
proud.
this is an interesting one because you could kind of interpret it as just like a joke. Like this dude is just saying shit on the internet to rile people up.
And then he says, "I don't translate anything, but I will happily pretend I do, and then make things up." That's the kind of person I despise. Like
Again,
I hate that, and I don't see like he's pulling a ghost stories essentially is what he says. I just make everything up. I don't even speak Japanese. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be translating.
I think these first two tweets are, much more uh like
Three's
in line with
three's
someone just saying
canceling
dumb
you
shit.
right now. But I will effing own that. SJW feminist gamer all the way. Would you like to retract your prior statements?
No, I was saying the first
Yeah,
two
yeah,
can come across
they
as
can.
being interpreted as jokes and just people not getting
Well,
it.
the problem is
Like the
he's answering people, and we don't see the other conversation, so we don't know
Mhm.
what actually is being said.
I mean, there's an archive link there, so I guess you could look it up if you really wanted to.
I really don't. I'd probably go insane if I went there. So Zythar, sensible localizers. We need our localized game to read as though it was originally written in English. Okay, you could stop with the sensible nonsense right there, because it is competing with games which were. And you realize there's an entire group of people who play games that are not originally from America or Western territories because they're not from Western territories. Some subset of gamers that just refuses to die. No, we do not want this. Please give us crap. What? We're not the subset. We are the set.
Well,
like
I think this is also a bad. This also seems like a bad faith interpretation of what people are saying.
like I go on. I don't know. Have you ever been to play?
It's really hard without the context to see what
Sure.
they're talking about.
Well, he's implying
But
that they're
like,
sensible and they need to make it like it's
mhm.
in English, which is not the sensible take. So I already know that they're not doing that.
No,
But
no, I actually kind of agree with this one. There is a point in making it sound like it was originally written in English because it flows better. It's more appealing to people who are
well,
listening to it.
adjusting it to fit mouths or to like be a context that America would understand to some extent, yes. Removing the context and rewriting it which is what sensible localizers typically do, I don't agree with that, because then you're removing the entire context, and then the next dialogue has to be rewritten, and the dialogue after that has to
I
be written, and you basically become writers. You're no
I
longer.
don't agree with it either, but I don't think that's what's going on, like being directly mentioned in this case. Again, I haven't seen the context to it, so I don't know
This is
exactly what's
weird. We're
going
having a
on here.
complete flip flop from the first one we.
Yes,
That's hilarious.
but in this case, it's like you're talking about specifically like, okay, you're going to, write it like it was originally written in English. I understand the meaning behind that. You want to make it flow, or the conversation flow, like it was actually like a conversation that was originally in English, because it will be more appealing to people who are reading slash listening to it. Correct? I don't think that's a bad thing. The issue is, I want to know what you mean by that. I have no definitions for any of this stuff.
I hope you're not
And
hearing my kid in the background.
without some sort of definition or context, I can't really make a sound judgment as to whether you are just being a normal person, or you're being a dickhead and antagonizing the fandom.
I'm assuming dickhead.
That's probably a safe bet, to be entirely honest.
Yeah,
To be entirely
just
fair, it's probably a
just
safe
the
bet
way
to
the
say that they're
words
being a
and the
dickhead.
particular keywords that are being used, that would be my first go-to.
And like I said, it seems like it is kind of a straw man of what people are actually saying in this context.
Oh,
That's
this
generally
right
what these
here.
tweets
This
are.
is definitely a straw man. We play anime
Yes.
games specifically because they read badly. No, that's not why we play them. We play them because we care about the context and the storytelling. Because Japanese storytelling is superior to Western storytelling 9 times out of 10. It's like, how can you take this away from us, etc. It's so tiring. Yeah, I do not care about this person's opinion because it's invalid. Gamers are always looking for something to blame for why content gets cut from Western versions of games, and yet somehow always settle on translators ruining it for their own nefarious purposes instead of the far simpler capitalism. Capitalism would counter this entirely.
I mean,
Capitalism would capitalism would say, we're going to give you what you want because we want your freaking money. That's capitalism.
capitalism bullied Sonic the Hedgehog into a complete redesign of its main character.
And it became a very successful series of movies and a TV show. And go figure, they're still making more. The Sonic video games are making a hardcore comeback. Like, if they hadn't, they would have flopped, lost tons of money, and Sonic would never have gotten another film. At least not for
But
another 20, 30 years.
I want to know how in the hell capitalism is to blame for translators actively choosing to change or remove context. Is your point that, oh, I don't get paid enough to actually do this job, so I'm just going to cut it because I can't, fit it in here, and I don't want to do the work? Or is this just or are you trying to suggest that the corporate heads are like, no, no, cut that out of there. We don't need that. It's more work for us to put it in there if you do that.
I guarantee you, the corporate executives don't give two craps. Why? Because most executives don't give two craps. They don't even watch their own movies at Disney. They don't cover anything. They don't read the scripts. They're not making sure everything's coming out fine tuned. They don't care. They say, oh, this name's popular, make that. And then they just walk away from it. It's literally deism. They're deists. They literally show up, create, and they get the frick out of Dodge. They don't interact with it. They don't take responsibility. Like, if it's good, they take responsibility for it. If it's terrible, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because they only care about money. They don't care about the actual product. Because if they did, they'd care about money by caring about the product. Because if they care about the product, they make money. That's how that works. Execs don't understand this because they're idiots, because you have like some Disney executive came from Nike. What does Nike execs know anything about making animations or content from a Disney IP? They don't know nothing. They only know marketing. And you don't want marketers running your company, because marketers are only supposed to advertise, not run the company. But somehow marketers have taken over that way. But to say translators ruining it for their own nefarious purposes, which is true when it applies, instead of the far simpler capital, it's just a commie complaining about capitalism but doesn't even know what capitalism is. Here's a threat on my thoughts on censorship in general. I don't know what that means.
Thread, it's a misspelling.
Okay. Oh, I'm sure they misspell in translations too. That's how we got our localizations. Oops, I misspelled patriarchy. I meant the original Japanese context. Because I'm sure y'all really want to know. I really don't. Buckle up because it's gonna be a long un. Stop trying to be cute. You're not. If you're against censorship as the word is used online, you probably need to be against capitalism in general.
How do those connect?
Because capitalism's bad and censorship's bad. So clearly, if you hate censorship because it's bad, you have to hate capitalism because it's
I'm
bad.
guessing. I'm guessing again. The context is we don't get enough money to do this. Or I don't think I get enough money to do this job.
Don't
Therefore,
take
I'm just
that
going to not do
job.
all the work.
It's literally, I would work for a pittance compared to what these guys are getting, or I'd even work for what they're working for and do a better job just because I'm autistic about it. Literally, that's the only reason.
They're either blaming not getting enough money to do the job, or they're blaming executives, like we said earlier, like we kind of discussed earlier, for making decisions that, like, oh well, this won't be popular, this won't sell, therefore change it.
I need medication for this.
Is medication code for a bottle of whiskey?
Um, or like a bottle of strawberry wine, a very big one.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Strawberry wine is delicious. It actually retains actual strawberry flavor. It's not that processed nonsense. Um, I mean, it's a
Too bad
mixture.
I'm off drinking for a while.
Day one of not drinking. Day two of not drinking. Day one of not drinking. I love those memes. Um, but yeah, like this makes me want to give up on life. Like, what? Have you ever been on Play Asia? Do you know what Play Asia is?
The porn site?
No,
Okay.
no. That's
No.
Busty Asians as his favorite website. No,
Oh, okay.
Play Asia is kind of a middleman between Eastern gaming stuff, and they have like toys, memorabilia, stuff like that. I think I've sent you a link to them before, but a lot of the stuff I don't think I have any nearby, unfortunately. But I got Tomb Raider off of them, right there. The Tomb Raider PS5 1 to 3 remaster. I've shown other things on my streams and like my live streams and stuff, um, of games that they're like boxed editions, like limited editions of stuff, like 1 out of 1,000 or something like that. Limited editions, and then they have like your basic, just pump it out for like $35. But they do a lot of stuff that's Japanese that may have subtitles in English or something like that. Um, you can get a lot of dating sims that way. I like I don't know why. I just like dating sims because it's better romance rom coms than anything in English. It's I don't know why. It's interesting to see like how the relationships are integrated and how you can create like what would it be like if real people behaved like this and actually would have some sort of romance and a real conversation rather than be like going to a bar knocking somebody up in a one night stand and then declining to ever be the father, like the way America pretty much is all the time. Um, but you can go there and get a lot of the games. Like you can get Ninja Gaiden, you can get Xenoblade Chronicles and stuff like that. But you can get a lot of stuff that's like if you're looking for stuff that's in American, but they also have stuff that's just raw Japanese. There is no American anything. It's just raw Japanese. There's so many games in Japanese I would buy the snot out of if they had it in English subtitles. I just wanted it in English subtitles. That's just what I want because I can't understand Japanese. And it's like I want to pay these people. Like just translate it and put it into the software so I can play your freaking game because they come with like the CD, like the CD tracks, like the OST stuff. They'll come with like special editions of stuff. Like are you familiar with the Dead or Alive series?
No.
It's Tekken but for Xbox essentially.
Okay.
Um, well, they made a series, Dead or Alive Extreme, which is like the first Dead or Alive Extreme was like volleyball bikini girls from the Dead or Alive series, and they just play volleyball but in bikinis, and you can unlock different bikinis and all that stuff. And it's literally just ecchi essentially. Well, then they made Dead or Alive Extreme 2, which added other activities like volleyball, but you could also do jet skiing. You could do essentially, what did you see, Kaijo or whatever it was called,
Okay, Joe.
Keijo. They basically even have that on there where like you try to push each other off of a floaty type of thing. Like they have all these little mini games, but you can basically like romance the girls and stuff. Well, they had a new one come out called was it Dead or Alive Prism Vacation or whatever. I have it because I have all the I have everything Dead or Alive just because it's Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive was my Tekken, my Street Fighter, everything. So I collect everything Dead or Alive. I even have the Dead or Alive. This thing right here is the little arcade 6-button Joy-Con joystick, Joy-Con joystick thing, so I can hook it up to my computer and play fighting games like that, or hook it up to my Xbox 360. But they have that. That game's not released in America because Japan's like, they're going to complain about this game. We're not going to release this in there. So I ordered it from Play Asia. The big box is like 200 and some dollars because it comes with like a body pillow. It comes with all this other stuff. And it's like, it's an etchy game, but it's like, it's a visual novel mixed with activities. And you basically date all the girls in different kind of like storylines and stuff. But they get the Dead or Alive Extreme series is like you have so many like 30 days of a vacation or whatever, and then it restarts. But you keep the progress you made with the characters. So you're like constantly going over and doing everything again, but you're trying to like get enough money to like you gamble at like a casino or do blackjack or whatever in order to take that, buy them a gift, whether it be an outfit or a plushie they like or whatever the case might be is. And then you could take pictures of them in different poses, and then you could show them, and they like it, like that. It's a visual novel, interactive kind of game, and they stopped making fighting games and pretty much made these, which is a weird thing because I'd like to have another fighting game. Um, but you can't get them from most places in America or in the West. You have to go over there. So Play Asia is one of the places you can get those kind of things. Also, indie games that are like Japanese made or indie games that are even Western made that are kind of like Asian themed, you can get them there. So it's a fun place if you want music, like if you want the vinyl or the CD soundtracks for things like Near Automata or Near Replicant. I've gotten it's over there on my vinyl pile. Um, but you can get cool stuff like that. You can get the Legend of Zelda soundtracks. You can get all that kind of stuff. But Play is just fantastic either way. But they don't typically do this kind of stuff because it's not these kind of localizers doing this. And if there are, people will complain about it and give it bad reviews and all that type of stuff. But Play Asia's been phenomenal in every way I've done it. It's basically what Crunchyroll should have been. They just don't do like actual anime. They just do video games, apparel, toys, uh, wall art, um, art books. They've got some not safe for work stuff too, if you're into that kind of stuff. But it's mostly video games. Um, but those kind of sites are doing what I would like to do in terms of preventing localizers from having any control over this at all. Because you don't have to be these modern SJW localizers in order to produce the kind of works they're producing. Like you or I could easily take what is said in Japanese, take that context, and just make it so it's understandable without pulling it completely out of the Japanese context. It wouldn't be that difficult if we just have the time. And that's where it gets to getting paid. It's like, well, I would get paid what they got paid and do a better job. So by definition, why are you not hiring me? Like, I don't get it. But I'm glad they're going more to the AI stuff because I'm sick and tired of this. The true joy of localization really is seeing what you can get away with. Japan should look at that and say no, and just cut them off.
Well, a lot of the execs that are in charge of this stuff just don't care.
Well, that's the other
They're
thing. It's like
ignoring it.
in Japan, they're like, well, we only make stuff for Japan people. So if other people in other places want it, whatever, whatever. I'm like, but you don't realize that if you guys, like, if you had Japanese people, like, they teach English in Japan. Just have somebody like I'm sure you'd find so many otakus in Japan that would kill to get paid to stare at anime, manga, or whatever and translate it into English. And then you could sell that sucker on the open market of the global market and make so much money no matter what you made. Even a B or a C list anime or a C list manga would make buku bucks because they'll eat it up here. Especially if it's bad, because it doesn't matter. It's not Western. It's Japanese. It's all it takes. Uh, it's not even discourse. It's peanut gallery stuff. Doesn't mean anything in the long term and won't change how business is done. It will though. That's literally where AI came from. AI translators came from. I don't owe response or respect to those who have created a fictionalized version of me to argue against in advance. But you created that character. You're arguing against it because you argued against Japan. We're living in an era where anime is more mainstream and accessible than it ever was. I hate the term accessible. It's not used properly anymore. And some people have made it their online mission to convince people that's a bad thing. That's the creatives and industry somehow deserves suspicion as a default state. It's just plain sad. Excuse me. I mean, if you're localizing this, you owe a response and respect to the literal authors of the creation. The people who make this, the reason you have a job, are the ones you owe everything to. But if you don't work for them, you don't owe them either of those things. But you're like, it's a fictionalized version of me that you're creating. No, you're being open and blatant about this when you make your content. Now up to episode 19 of Ace Attorney, I can confirm that Max Galactica's vagina bones remain uncensored. What?
They're basically making a joke about this character being trans, or
Have
they're
they never
saying
seen a person work out and be fit? Is that what they're saying? Because guys have that like V joint muscle bone combination thing when they're shredded. Why would you censor it? It's not vagina. Like, it's not shaped like a V because vagina. It's shaped that way because that's how a man's body works. Because at some point, the torso ends and the legs begin. Like, they're called defined lines because they have a purpose and they're real. It's not. This is like somebody saying, "E from Stellar Blades unrealistic and no real woman like that," and then they show real woman that literally was the mocap. Well, well, that's a child. Like, well, we're just throwing things around because that person's in their 20s. But okay.
anyone who starts referring to like the fictional characters with well, they're a child, they look like a child, I immediately dismiss them because at that point
Their
I'm just like,
argument's
all right,
invalid.
you are retarded.
You're like retarded.
We thought.
Duh.
Katrina Leonidakis, the person I was mentioning earlier.
I want to call her Leon Dukas. What is polystem theory? Hypo? Oh, she's one of those people, isn't she? Oh my gosh. We call those poly confused. Many confused. Much confused. I know I'm opening a huge can of worms, but here goes. As translators, what is the right way to handle offensive content? Who determines what gets left in and what gets censored? A long thread about translation theory, ethics, and localization capitalism. Crimson, please do a live stream about translation theory, ethics, and localization capitalism. I want to be in there. I want to rip some freaking knowledge into people's heads because philosophy has a lot to say about this and they're not going to like it. The short,
Your
abbreviated. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was about to say, your job is specifically not to monitor the offensive content. It is specifically to translate it and then pass it off to people who will buy it. If that content is really so offensive, then people aren't going to be interested in it. It's as simple as that.
Well, people they don't want to support the quote unquote right or whatever.
Kind of like how everyone refused to do anything to, go near cuties because it involved having 650 children twerk in front of the director
And he still
for
has the
auditions.
recordings for those two.
Yeah.
But no, the actual like what is the right way to handle offensive content? Who determines what gets left in and what gets censored? There's a simple answer. The creator. That's simple. If you go beyond that, you're wrong. There's no other option. Now, if it's something that's literally illegal, that's a different story. These things are not illegal. You find them offensive, not illegal. What are you going to do? Cancel Japan. Good luck with that. Something I wish people understood was the difference between censorship and editorial. When an editorial makes a decision to alter something because they think it will sell better, that's not censorship, that's capitalism.
Okay, there's a definition to what they've been talking about with capitalism this whole time.
Corporatism?
Corpos being dumb shits who don't understand their target audience. That's not capitalism.
Corporatism. It's not. It has nothing to do with me offering you a product in exchange for wealth or another product, like an exchange of
It has
goods and
nothing to
something.
do with the free exchange of goods.
And it doesn't have anything to do with like trying to outcompete my opponents in order to get your business, so I can stay in business. Like editorial makes a decision to alter something because they think it will sell better. That's not censorship. Now he's speaking in favor of capitalism. Isn't he the same guy who said capitalism is bad?
I think he's one of them.
Because censorship and editorial, when you actively change something because you are offended by it, that's not editorial. That's censorship.
No, it literally is. We're going to edit this out because we find it offensive and we think other people won't like it.
Well, they're using editorial as a shield to censor things, despite the fact that unless it's illegal in the place you're localizing, like let's say for example, uh, a country like I don't know, Germany or whatever has a problem with lollies, and you had to censor lollies in some shape or form.
Try
That
Ireland or England.
what sure whatever. I don't know where it is, if it is or whatever the case is, but like let's say
Some
someplace.
guy just got arrested for something like that. Like literally like yesterday.
Hmm, I don't know anything
Yeah.
about it, but
For having a game downloaded on his phone.
hmm,
Hmm.
hmm. What one that sells in the world?
One that
Like it's
is
legal?
in most places except for Germany, not Germany, Ireland and England. Apparently,
Hmm.
I have to find
Are,
this
are they
now.
are they actively preventing that site from selling in that area? Because if they're not,
Um,
they don't have
it
much of an argument.
From what I've seen is the guy went to Japan, got the game, and then came back, and he got arrested for having it.
Okay, that kind of makes sense because if you went over there and got kid pictures and you brought it back, you'd be arrested for that too. But I had that conversation with Matt, and that was a very weird concept that like America owns the world, and therefore if we say it's illegal everywhere. It's like, but no, if I'm in a country where it's legal, it shouldn't count because I'm in that country. But okay. Um, but he's basically taking editorial and saying we're being editorial services and we're changing things because we think it'll sell better. And then go figure, it sells worse. It's like, okay. Bother. It's what happens when you turn a simple hobby, Japanese cartoons. It's Japanese animation, not cartoons, but okay. And somehow rework it into your mind to become a form of intellectual superiority. I can't tell if this is in favor or against localizers. Can you make heads or tail of this?
Scroll up. It's part of a chain.
Oh, it is? Oh. If you
You started
change
from the bottom.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. If you it's still at the bottom, but if you change any word translating Japanese into English, you're racist. What? Who? Who's arguing this? What? No. Really? Because I think it's far more racist to treat Japanese as a language that's so mystical and exotic that English not only can't capture its nuance, but somehow actively ruins it in the attempt. Well, if you're a moron and you don't understand the mystical and exotic part of Japanese, you obviously can't capture the nuance, and you do actively ruin it. What? It's fascinating how know-it-all anime and manga fans have essentially created a new wave of Orientalism in which Japan is simultaneously unknowable even by professionals. Okay, stop patting yourself on the back, dude, because I guarantee you're not an actual. You're a catboy connoisseur. You're not exactly a professional. Professionals don't put catboy connoisseur in their freaking title. That's not how that works. And always assume to have the same political leanings as the fan. You don't need political. That's the whole point. Political leanings are irrelevant. They don't need to be a part of this. I don't understand. Japan is simultaneously unknowable. What is unknowable about Japan? If you change the context to put it in westernized stuff like Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, you
It's
don't know the Japanese context. It's unknowable to you.
it's a straw man to deflect from anyone criticizing them
Well, the first
for
line was
changing
definitely a
things.
straw man because no one
Yeah,
argues that. Nobody's saying
yeah,
if you translate Japan or Japanese to English on anything, you're racist. That's not how that works. It's if you change any wording translating Japanese into English incorrectly on purpose, you're racist because you don't like the Japanese. That's what we say. You didn't even finish or quantify or anything. But then he goes into it's what happens when you turn a simple hobby. Japanese cartoons. That's insulting. Just calling it Japanese cartoons because they're Japanese animation. It's not cartoon. There are some Japanese animations that are definitely not cartoons because they're not child friendly. And somehow rework it into your mind. Plus, cartoons is an American Western thing. It's not a. It's totally different. We don't call them American animations. We call them cartoons, particularly because we're separate from them. And somehow rework it into your mind to become a form of intellectual superiority. Okay, you two don't know what intellectual superiority is because you're not intellectual superior. I could be the dumbest sack of bricks in the world, and I am still intellectually superior to you. I'm sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry if Catboy Connoisseur is in your
Intellectual
name
superiority
on
group.
Twitter. No, if you're part of your name on Twitter is Catboy Connoisseur, your opinion is moot. It doesn't
if
matter.
if your ex Twitter account label hand thing is Kevin Frayne, your argument is invalid. You're not superior because you're just saying stupid stuff. Like I don't even know if it's possible to not be completely retarded and be like related to this conversation for these guys. Like it's
I found the thing I was talking about. It's a game apparently called Brown Dust 2 that he acquired. And I mean it is a lot of lolly stuff, but as far as I can tell, it's just,
what's it called?
cartoon
What's
images.
it called?
Brown Dust 2.
Brown. Am I gonna regret looking for this on the line?
Here, I'll look it up first.
Okay. Turning. It's like what? Silence your computer.
Images. Oh wow, this looks really fucking tame.
Is this something you see like an anime?
Like genuinely, okay, here's a lolly in a wedding dress.
I mean, that's in animes.
So I'm pretty sure this guy basically just got arrested with some fucking dojins that are on a little the like the more degenerate side, but
Okay. Well,
it not any actual like proper CSEM kind of stuff.
I'm not going to look it up then. But
No, what I'm saying is, with the game, it doesn't look like there's any of that kind of content in it. With the dojins, which would basically just be fan made comics, he probably went to a specifically like 18 plus convention in Japan and grabbed a couple of comics while he was there. And then when he was on his way
I thought you said it
home,
was because it was on his phone.
um I'm reading a little bit more of the story, and there are some conflicting reports. But effectively, it is he stopped
Conflicting
with
reports. The UK is retarded. Not very
yeah.
conflicting, but okay.
The image is basically man stopped at Dublin airport with anime child sex abuse images. Court hears.
I mean,
Which, if I'm
is it
interpreting that
actual children or is it like a lolly that looks childlike? Because that's a big
fr-
difference.
from what I'm looking at here, it basically looks like 18-year-old plus character who looks childlike.
Okay, then they shouldn't have. Well, I mean, I can't say that because the UK is authoritarian, like practically on the levels of the
I
Soviet Union at this point. So I don't understand.
I have a whole video I'm planning on doing on this specific subject because there are a lot of minute details that need to be gone into, and this is not the place to really do them because I'm already pushing the boundary of what I can stay awake for. So
Okay, yeah. I mean, we already finished that whole page and everything, so we're technically
yeah,
speaking wrapping it up. But
no,
did you have
it's like oh,
goodness?
when it comes to the
Lay off the tea, you
localization.
drunkard.
No, it's something else.
It's lollies.
It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with smoking. Did you say AIDS?
No, I said it's lollies.
When it comes to the localization thing, I don't see why it's so hard to just leave the series intact. Instead, you have a bunch of people who feel like it is their moral obligation to fix everything that they come in contact with, and I don't see why you would think that. Like,
Ironically, if we were to go out in real life and actually adjust all this stuff like they do, like if we were to quote unquote localize Western media and we were to change everything the way from the way they had originally made the content into something entirely different, where it basically changes the entire meaning, where all of a sudden, excuse me, the equivalent of the yaoi content that they're putting on fan made sites, and we basically turn them into best friends. They don't have any sexual intimacy, they don't have any relations or anything, and we just turn it into normal tame like best bros who go to the gym and work out and stuff. Like if we completely just change that, they'd probably charge us with a hate crime. Like, and if that's the case, why are we not charging them for a hate crime? Because they literally are just hating on Japanese culture and Japanese people. Like, to have power and influence to fight this nonsense is something I will never achieve. It's depressing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Like just reading some of these, I'm just like, I just
these people are stupid.
it makes me just want to give up on the human race. Just be like, nope, you're
But
on your
hey,
own. You go crash
one
and
company
burn.
has already decided to move towards AI translation, Shogakukan, so that's cool. And
Hallelujah.
then you have an entire company that has started up basically to use AI to translate works. I think it's Orange Ink. I covered this I don't know how long ago on a live stream. But there are a lot of pushes to do this, and hey, that's capitalism, the thing that you guys
That's
love to
capitalism,
talk
baby.
about. My favorite version of that is the Marcus Munitions capitalism, baby, from Borderlands 2.
I, yeah, Marcus. I love the I don't know if you grew up on the Command and Conquer games or not, but they have I don't know why I'm forgetting his name. I am picturing him in my head. But the guy who plays basically the Soviet guy, he's like, I will go to the one place that capitalism has not corrupted. Space. It's Tim Curry. I apologize for forgetting his name, but it's such a like over the top acting, but it's freaking hilarious. I'm like, I love this so much. Also, Gina Carano was one of the Red Alert girls, and if you know who I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. I completely saw her in the background. I'm like, that's Gina freaking Carano. Wow. Totally would never have guessed that in the prior days because I was too young to know who Gina Carano was. But Tim Curry's great. But any closing statements, good sir, on anything about the overall topic and or the ways we can combat it, if possible?
I mean, you can always go for fan translations if you're really into that.
Is there a way to do
Um,
that for like official things like games and stuff, or do you have to have permission from the companies to do that?
I'm not sure about games. The only ones that I would know about would be
Because
manga
if I
and
could
anime.
mod games to have the English subtitles, that'd be freaking awesome. Because there's a lot of Japanese games and stuff I'd love. Unfortunately, I can't do that for the actual mangas and stuff.
Otherwise, you have the long and arduous task of learning a new language just so that you can play video games and watch anime.
And it's one of the most complicated languages too, which doesn't help.
It's actually not that bad once you get started. The kanji's a little bit fucking wonky,
Well,
but
kanji's horrific in that regard because
yeah, it's like
it's
trying to communicate
squiggles,
with emojis.
except emojis that are squiggles from cavemen. This is a house. Why is it a house? Well, it's a box with a house roof. No, I'm referring more to like the multiple dialects. Like there's formal, business informal, um, family informal, all the different ways you speak and whatnot. And then you go to one section of Japan, they talk this particular way with a particular accent. You go to this particular, like it's way more complicated than just coming to America and saying Southern accent, Boston accent. You know, like it's it's. I asked
Either
you a
way,
question. I love that
e-
one.
either way, like I don't. It's frustrating to see it, but it's not like you can change that entire fucking industry, because
You
it's
can if you buy it
entrenched.
out.
It is effectively entrenched, and the only way you're going to do anything about it is if you have Elon Musk levels of fuck you money.
See, all Elon Musk has to do is go over to Japan and invest large, copious amounts of money into getting shares to all these companies that create the base level stuff. Like they're the publishers and everything, and then basically through that control who gets to localize on the western side, and then basically just say no, we're just going to invest our own money into doing it here, so that America's going to get the Japanese equivalent of the English language, which I would prefer. But come on, Elon, get on that. Unfortunately, I'm not Grums. I don't have like a direct line to Elon Musk, so I can't just be like, "Hey, Elon, go invest in Japanese anime and manga publishing companies and make this happen." Because Grums apparently has that power. I am a nobody, so I don't. But get on that, Grums. To get on that, Elon, or whatever. But anyway, what you got coming up, good sir? Coming
Um,
as of Friday, obviously, because it comes out Friday.
if you're talking about next Friday,
This
from what,
coming Friday.
so tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh well,
I don't know. I said
I will.
tomorrow, like the past, like you're putting behind you, like you already passed it.
I look, man. I've been working extra hours. I don't have any
uh,
live streams planned this week, so there will be no Saturday live stream.
whatever
I'm
the
gonna
new
put
one
out another.
is, whatever the next one
Uh,
is.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna put out another video here. So I would appreciate that. It'll probably be up around the same time that this goes live.
Oh, so tomorrow,
Um,
Friday.
yeah.
Okay, this goes out
And
noon.
then
So if that's what you're doing it,
yeah, basically the same time.
why
Other than
why
that,
do you got to release over me? Come on, just because you're a bigger
mine's
channel
five
doesn't
minutes.
because you're a bigger channel doesn't mean you're gonna bully my tiny little channel.
It's a 6 minute video. Shut the fuck up. Quit complaining.
It's gonna be
Um.
over my freaking 2 hour and 15 minute video. No one's gonna watch my video because you're 6 minutes.
Anyway, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Central. I'm doing another fictionology stream. We're gonna be talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and tune in for that. That's about the only thing
And
on
if
the
you
radar.
agree that that's a
Otherwise,
trash series, you're based.
um, ignore the retard and just come
Don't
watch
ignore
the stream and
Crimson
have a
like
great time.
that.
We don't need someone who sits here and talks about his fucking weird ass like Gooner mech anime all the time like it's the greatest thing ever created. So
Touche. Touche. They don't know what you're talking about. It's Godanner, but yes, it's great. You should watch it. It's
go
way better
Danner,
than
Gooner mech,
Evangelion.
whatever.
It's way better than Evangelion. It actually has a good
Either way,
ending.
we will be talking about Evangelion on Wednesday, and I would appreciate
By
it. Also.
we, not me. It means him. But yeah,
No, he's not invited. He's not allowed.
I mean,
You're over here for me, by the way. That's why I'm pointing this way instead of this way.
I mean, you're over here to me because that's how the screens work.
No, my screen is over to
Oh,
this side, so I see you.
you're on both of my screens because I have my production side and my recording side. So I can see both ways. But anyway,
Either way, fuck you. You weren't invited. When we do if we ever do a Lord of the Rings ones, though, you will be invited.
or Wheel of Time. I don't think you guys ever will, but if you ever do,
Yeah, that's a big ask to do Wheel of Time.
well, I mean, if you want to be one of the cool kids, you'll do Wheel of Time eventually. But no, what was I gonna say? You just made me lose my train of thought. Oh, I was gonna say after today's conversation, hopefully I don't look completely retarded when it comes to anime because like I know a lot of anime, just not the current stuff. And I mean, I can come up with some basic generic conversation. I'm probably not gonna be as smart as Biggles and that crew, though, unfortunately.
I would not say as smart as Biggles. That dude is brain damaged.
He's brain
Beyond
damaged, but he's
repair.
still better at newer stuff than I am because I don't know any of it.
Well, yeah, because we bullied him into watching a bunch of shit.
Bullies! Cancel them! Censor them! You see?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yes, I forced him to watch Night of the Living Cat for a period of time, so
is that the vampire one?
no, that is
Oh.
the zombie movie parody where instead of turning into zombies, people turn into cats.
Are they at least zombie cats?
No, they're just normal ass cats.
What's the one Inobi-san's dog or whatever?
Inukai-san's dog.
Oh. I don't understand the lure of that. Like, why would you want to see anything from
Women.
Women want to see that? Or you want to see the women? Which one? There's two different viewpoints.
Apparently, women are into that kind of stuff.
Is there anything in there for them to be into? I don't know anything
Some
about it.
some chicks live alone with a dog for a reason.
Is that actually
I'm just saying.
Is that actually in the series though, or is that just the implication?
The whole series is about this chick who wants to fuck her dog.
What?
Yeah.
What? I thought this was like a normal anime. Is this like an H thing?
No, this is an ecchi thing.
No, not etchy. An H.
No, it's an ecchi.
Okay. I'm confused. How is this appealing in any shape or form?
I don't know. It's like Beihei Neko. Why do people want to see an elf fuck a cat?
I don't know what that is either.
Good. You're better off not knowing.
Are you implying that I would rather watch Neon Genesis Evangelion than watch these?
You probably would.
That's bad. Or Elfen Lied. Ugh. I have too much self-respect to watch those again. But
I have too much self-respect to ever go near Beihei Neko ever again. You have a show where your excuse for the blacksmith not knowing how to make a fucking small sword is that you had to go into the dungeon and have the elf test herself out with a bunch of different weapons. So you also had an excuse to have her get groped by a tentacle monster that shoots white goo and is shaped like a penis.
Okay, based, but no, like you can't make a small sword unless somebody goes and tests a weapon.
Well, instead of like, basically the elf is complaining that like they don't know why like they're not good with their weapon, so they go to their blacksmith friend, and the blacksmith's like, "All right, you know what? Let's go into the dungeon and like see what you can do and all that." And They go down there. Like basically, the elf has been complaining, like the swords are too heavy for me.
Then
That was
use
the complaint when they went to the blacksmith.
then use
So
a
the
lighter
blacksmith
metal.
had to have them go to the dungeon so that the elf girl could basically get groped by the penis monster, and then say, you know what, you should use knives instead.
I mean, wouldn't the obvious answer be like, this is too heavy? Which honestly, swords are not that heavy. They're like 5 pounds. They're not that bad. Um, and if you can't lift 5 pounds, you probably don't have huge knockers. but um, but if it's an elf fantasy, wouldn't they have things like mithril and things that are like lightweight metals, and they could just cast magic on them to make them lighter?
You're thinking too hard about the
I'm
boob
not thinking
anime.
hard at all. I'm just thinking logically, dude. This is like,
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I was
I
thinking.
mean,
Is
if
like
I'm watching the show, I'm
there's
probably thinking hard, but for entirely
uh,
different reasons.
the 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 blacksmith in that show is
He's a pervert, I'm
the
assuming.
stupidest person you ever
Oh,
could have
he's
imagined.
stupid.
If
He's not just a pervert. He's
oh
stupid.
no, she's stupid.
Oh, it's a she. Okay, that explains it.
It's a cat girl.
The cat girl's the blacksmith?
Yes.
Okay, that explains it. That explains it.
But how are we going to subject her
I
to
mean,
the
if you
penis
started with
monsters?
that, I would understand. But I've been like, oh, she's a blacksmith. Okay, now. Bother. Why don't they just like do the classic trope of it's a dwarf? Even a dwarf woman would be better. Because at least it's like the entire race
Because
deals with
because
smithing.
because the cat who is the main character needs a harem of a bunch of big-titted women who want to fuck it.
So it's a girl that has a bunch of big knockered waifus that are wanting to bang the girl.
No, 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 no. The cat is a dude.
I thought you said the cat. The blacksmith is a girl
No.
cat.
So there's a cat that is the main character. He's just a cat, okay? He's just a
Okay.
fucking cat. And he's the
Oh,
pet of an
he's a
elf who is the
cat.
friend of a yeah. So he is the cat. The cat is the main character. It's like a reincarnated knight. Like he got killed, got reborn as like a fucking cat monster.
But the cat girl is the blacksmith.
Yes, the cat girl is a completely different character. She's a
Okay.
blacksmith.
I'm.
And she still wants to fuck the cat.
Well, I mean, she's a cat. She's in heat, so obviously that makes sense. But
There's also a dragon that wants to fuck the cat.
okay, now we're getting into Shrek territory.
Like everyone for some reason wants to fuck the cat.
They just like pussy, I guess.
This is why I hate Beihei Neko. It is so
But this is why you
goddamn
love
awful.
coming on one of my videos, because you enjoy this. And I didn't mean it literally, obviously.
Yeah, I don't literally love coming on here.
Stop it. Oh no, we have to stop. We're getting loopy. But no,
Make it end. Make it end.
make it stop. But anyway, well, okay, if you got all this stuff coming on, my stuff's normal. Sundays usually is me and Matt. It would be Sage if Sage would not work his god awful job of being not available when we need to record. But yes, I'm proud of him. He got a job and he's enjoying it and he's doing good. And it's IT field, so it's always cool. So noon Central Standard Time, which is the same as yours, technically speaking. So you are literally over me. That's a dick move, man. But noon on Sundays is usually the long one. This is also gonna be a long one. This actually is ironically longer than Matt's in my stream, but there's a lot more into this, and there's a lot of understanding then context that has to be added to it because I'm not necessarily in the know of all the current things going on, but I understand the concepts, and I also dislike the things that are happening. And they're still happening, which pisses me off. Then on Fridays, like this video, will be released on at noon Central Standard Time, same as his. It's gonna be over mine. It's then on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Or was 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, is now 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do live streams where I play games. and you guys can join the Discord and vote for what games you want to see me play. If you care enough, I know I'm not the most charismatic person on the internet, or the interwebs, as the cool kids say these days, and I really do get absorbed into the games I play unless I'm miserable. So I might not respond initially, especially if it's a first person game, because I really pay attention to my surroundings in those games. But feel free to pop into the chat and on the video and or on the live stream and hang out. I know Gray Pilgrim shows up, and I always love having him around. Some of my regulars have disappeared, and I hope that they're okay. Maybe they just got tired of me, but I just hope they're okay. Um, like Crimson, who didn't show up to my last one and allowed me to be sexually abused on my live stream, which is not cool, dude. Not cool.
And it's not my fault.
It is totally your fault. You weren't there to tell him to eat a bag of dicks or something about poop. I don't know.
He probably would have been like, okay.
Yeah, he was. It was a very rough stream. Although I did platinum Time Splitters 1, which was great. Unlocked everything, and my computer just locked up. That's great.
We're here.
There we go. I'm my computer just freaking froze. That was freaking weird. Anyway, I also played Hero Siege for like 4 hours, and it was fun. I got to like level 16 or something, and was trying literally everything. I cleared the entire map of enemies because I wanted all the experience. It's a little slower, but I just I enjoy the exploration aspect. But next week we'll be starting Time Splitters 2, which is my original intro to the Time Splitters trilogy. They're fantastic games. They're made by the same people who made GoldenEye, 007 GoldenEye, for Nintendo 64. And you even hear the ricochet noises are straight out of freaking GoldenEye. You're like, you're like, hey, GoldenEye. The reloading sounds, GoldenEye. Your health bar in 2 and 3 is literally the multicolored ones they have in GoldenEye. So the one side's health bar, one side's body armor, just like in GoldenEye. It's great. Also got fire soundtrack. Lots of fun characters, humor, all that stuff. So I'll be doing that and seeing how far I can get to that and try to platinum it on PS5. Yeah. Follow on Twitter, Crimson and myself, if you care to do so. Discord link is in the description if you would like to hop in there and join the meme culture we have building there. Vote for what games you want to see me play. Make recommendations if it's something I don't have. I mean, hey, come talk about anime and stuff if you want to, mangas and all that jazz. Just come hang out, have a good time, and if you enjoy Lord of the Rings, we have a very detailed Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth trilogy all-in-one launcher installation guide. That was a community built thing, and if you like RTS games with Lord of the Rings themes, you're gonna love it. I made the guide myself because I wanted everybody to be able to access it and then maybe play with us sometime. And also, I'm gonna leave the idea open for Hero Siege runs if we get enough people, because I can create a server and then basically play with a bunch of people. All that fun jazz. But yeah, come hang out if you want to. And also, I post live stream stuff, so if you want to have direct links to the live streams and stuff, you can get that there. I think that's pretty much everything else in my stuff. But obviously, check out Crimson's. He's that direction. Crimson's this way, that way. Check out Crimson's YouTube channel. It's in the description. Check out Unbearable 73, our very own Matt's channel, and he talks about wrestling, pop culture, old movies, TV shows, that kind of stuff. And he goes on Roman of the Empire and other channels a lot. So check out his stuff if you want to enjoy that kind of content. Also, when I've been recently trying to boost a little bit, even though they're like hundreds of thousands of subscribers way ahead of me, is the background NPC. She makes great content. It's very cozy, very chill, very thoughtful, very based. Very cool lighting, very good editing. Music's great. It's very relaxing, and very informative and has very good takes. So check out her. Um, Also, Meta PCs, you can support them with the code 1099, which also supports Geeks and Gamers. I do not get sponsored by them. I just want to promote things that I think are good and support our corner of the internet, or the interwebs, as the kids say these days. And also check out Ayaka Mods and DEG Mods if you're looking for a modding website that will not censor mods and will be a place to archive and have access to things that Nexus Mods and other places like that have censored things, especially if you're like in the UK, because Nexus Mods just censored uh, through H verification the UK access. So if you don't want to worry about that, go to Ayaka Mods and DEG Mods, and you will have access to that stuff without age verification because they believe in your privacy and anonymity. So check out those guys as well. DEG Mods is also trying to work on building into becoming a publisher, which is something we need to counter the AAA nightmare that we have currently. So good luck to those guys. I'm rooting for them. And yeah, so that's it for us. We are going to dip out of this. So thanks everybody for stopping by, and look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. So walk in the light, my friends.